And now for the most famous words in motorsports, the Grand Marshal of the 44th Pepsi 400, Jessica Simpson.
Drivers, start your engine!
It's the traditional midpoint of the Winston Cup season. And amidst a tight point battle, any one of 7 drivers could leave here with the point lead in what has traditionally been one of NASCAR's most unpredictable races. The Pepsi 400, next on Fox.
Hi, I'm Dan Vukovic from Pepsi-Cola. Welcome to the Pepsi 400 here on Fox for the world's largest nighttime sporting event. We're in for an exciting race and can't wait to get started. So on behalf of the employees of Pepsi and our bottling partners, enjoy tonight's race.
Welcome to Daytona International Speedway as the field moves out on the first of 3 pace laps before racing 160 laps, 400 miles from dusk into nighttime on this 2.5-mile tri-oval superspeedway. Hi everyone and welcome to Daytona. Mike Joy with Larry McReynolds and 3-time Winston Cup champ Darrell Waltrip. Cale Yarborough led all but 18 laps in winning here. Jimmy Spencer led just the last lap. Cale won this race by 2 laps. Bill Elliott won it by 18 inches. It's so unpredictable and it's so much fun, Darrell, except maybe for those 43 drivers out there that haven't had a lot of practice. And it's Daytona. It's restrictor plate racing.
What's that song? Are y'all ready for this? Because that's exactly how I feel. The thing about it is you've got to get up there and get amongst them. And these cars have not had any drafting practice. So there's setup issues, there's handling issues, there's all kind of issues that we're going to have to sort out in the early going. But the biggest problem is you don't want to get in trouble doing until you get those things sorted out.
So, Larry, how do you sort them out without the benefit of any drafting practice after qualifying?
Well, I mean, I love your word unpredictable, but from a crew chief standpoint, I'm going to go with the word unknown. Like Darrell said, these cars have not been on the racetrack since they qualified. Can you go back to last year's notes from a year ago? No. The rules are different. Can you go back to your Daytona notes? Yes, you can, but this track is much slicker in the hot temperatures here in July. So you basically, you throw your best package at it from your February notes, but you know you have to make adjustments. But I can't tell my driver, feel it out, because if you feel it out, they're going to be lapping you pretty quick here. You can't back off.
If you want a night of unpredictable action, you've come to the right place. Let's go trackside to Steve Burns.
Mike, Jeff Gordon has 4 wins here at Daytona. He's one of 5 drivers that could win $1 million bonus if he can win. Well, crew chief Robbie Loomis says they've taken this number 24 car to the wind tunnel not once, but twice for a total of 16 hours at $2,000 an hour. Do the math. They want to win this $1 million bonus. Let's go to Speedway Illustrated's Dick Berggren.
Yeah, but to win it, they're going to have to beat Dale Earnhardt Jr. During driver introductions, this audience went absolutely berserk when his name was mentioned. He is the favorite. He has won 3 of the last 4 restrictor plate races. He's smart, he's cool, he's extra good at places like this. To Matt Yoakum.
Dick, the last time Pontiac won a points-paying race at Daytona, Ronald Reagan was running for re-election. Tony Stewart has 2 Budweiser shootout victories, but remember, tonight he's racing with a couple unknowns. He only completed 2 laps back in the Daytona 500 with engine failure. They've gone back to their 500 notes without any final practice session, but they're still unsure how those notes will react tonight because they only had 2 laps back in February. Mike?
Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR, is proud sponsor of the Bud Pole Award, given to the fastest qualifier at every NASCAR Winston Cup race. Kevin Harvick is a first-time Bud Pole winner, and he joins these other drivers in the Bud Shootout of 2003. Since 1979, Anheuser-Busch has awarded more than $7 million as title sponsor of NASCAR's Pole Award program. Let's move to our Walmart starting grid. Kevin Harvick, first pole, and Jeffrey Bodine in only his 3rd start of the season, former Daytona 500 winner, on the front row. Jeff Gordon, 2-time winner of this race. Robbie Gordon, no relation, looking for his first restrictor plate triumph. Dale Jarrett has 4 Daytona wins. Johnny Benson, top 10 in February, led a lot of it. Michael Waltrip, 4 top 5s in the last 6 restricted races with his teammate Steve Park and his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr., who we've talked about, right behind, along with the fastest Dodge in the field, young Casey Atwood. Veterans Bobby Hamilton and Ricky Rudd looking for his first Daytona triumph. Mike Wallace with Bill Elliott, a 4-time Daytona winner. Kenny Wallace and Jimmy Johnson, the pole winner, fastest qualifier back in February here. Brett Bodine, 9th last July, and Mark Martin, one of those No Bull Million bonus cars. Ken Schrader has 20 top 10s at Daytona, and Sterling Marlin, the point leader. Bobby Labonte, 5th here last July, and Kyle Petty, fresh off that 3,500-mile charity ride. Mike Skinner won both Daytona poles in '97, and Todd Bodine, who competed last night in the Busch race. Jimmy Spencer, who won this race in '94, leading only the last lap, and Ricky Craven, another No Bull car. Shauna Robinson, the only female in the field, and Kurt Busch, who was 4th in the Daytona 500. Tony Stewart, just 2 laps in February here, but he has 2 top 10s, and Dave Blaney in a Ford. Elliott Sadler, 3rd here last July after starting 38th with John Andretti in a Petty Dodge. Stacy Compton's Pontiac and Hut Strickland's Dodge in row 17. Jeff Burton, the 2000 winner of this race, and Terry Labonte, 2-time series champion. Then the provisional starters. Rusty Wallace has not won Daytona in 38 starts, maybe tonight. And Matt Kenseth, another No Bull car. Ryan Newman in the same car, he raced to 7th here. And Jeff Green. Ward Burton, the Daytona 500 champion, had trouble with the cowl intake in qualifying. He's there with Jeremy Mayfield, a pair of Dodges. And last night's winner, tonight he's last row Joe Nemechek, an unexpected spot, but he anchors the field. 43 cars, 160 laps, 400 miles, 100 miles less than we race in February.
Yeah, and the pit window is 50 to 55 laps. You can make this on 2 stops. It's 160 laps. You want to be full of fuel. You don't want to be out there and having to pit on the green by staying out, not pitting. Tires are not that critical, but they can definitely make you handle better.
Oh, yeah. If I get an opportunity, I'm going to come and get me 4 tires almost every time.
There's our weather. A lot of rain here yesterday, and that was what ruined any chance of final practice for these cars. When they practice before qualifying, they do it 1 car at a time so that their runs are not wind aided by the draft of another car. So they have not been out there in anger amongst groups of cars in practice. In fact, not since they were here in February for the Daytona 500. Lights out atop the pace car as we get set to go racing. For those of you just joining us from baseball on Fox, welcome to Daytona International Speedway, where the Pepsi 400 is about to go green.
Oh yeah, and this is a tense time. This when the crew chief is talking to the driver, and he's telling him, now be patient here. And the driver's sitting in there all fired up and got fire coming out of his eyes, and he can't even hear what the crew chief's saying about being patient.
I'm not going to talk to you after we take the green flag. Very little. I'm going to leave it up to that spotter, because I know you're going to be out there in packs of 20 cars running 3 wide. Pull your seatbelts tight one more time, because we're going for a ride for 400 miles.
That's right. Besides that, I don't have time to talk to you.
Can Jeff Gordon get his first win of the year? Can Johnny Benson get his first win ever? Can Jeffrey Bodine from the outset pole pull off an upset? We're ready. You're ready.
And here they come. And we're coming down here, folks. Got them tight. Got them belts tight. Flagman's got that green flag in his hands. Here we go, folks. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Boys, take her down in the first turn.
Jeff Gordon on the start of the race in the 24 car, he looked like he almost got knocked below that yellow line. You heard Jeff Hammond in the pre-race talk about the out of bounds. You can't be below that yellow line anywhere around this racetrack.
And the thing about it is you can't be patient if you're middle of the pack back. You've got to get up in there and get after them because you want to get with some cars that are fast.
2 wide, middle of the pack, 3 abreast in the back of the pack.
This is the eye of the storm. That's what you got to watch for right there. That's where the action is.
And this racetrack is wide enough to run 3 wide. It's wide enough to almost run 4 wide on the backstretch. The problem is on the exit of the corners, it's like running into a funnel. The racetrack narrows up.
Here they come as they exit off the corner. And what happens is the cars move around. When there's this many cars around each other, the wind is buffing the car around. You're 3 wide. The wind catches the front of your car, lifts it up, and into the car on the outside of it you go.
And the longer we go on the run, everybody's on fresh tires right now, full of fuel. The longer we go into a run, the front end will want to turn less and less on the exit of the corner. That's when you get in trouble.
And what you'll find right now is all these drivers will work with each other right now. They'll squeeze up and let you in because they're all packed up there together. But as they start to spread out a little bit, you can't do that.
Tony Stewart, who completed only a couple of laps in February due to a blown engine, spins to the infield in the back straightaway.
Caution is on the speedway.
Now, gentlemen's agreement, we do not race back. There's no rule that says you can't race back, but you can hack a bunch of guys off if you try to pass them.
Didn't tell this pack.
And here they come racing down there like the green flag's still out.
Kevin Harvick leads the second lap and passes under the yellow flag, and the field will slow from 180 down to 70 miles an hour.
Now, in February, Tony Stewart only ran 2 laps because of losing an engine. Here he's wrecked before they even get to lap 2.
Now what happens here is because some cars did pass with that yellow flag out, you'll be driving up beside a guy and shaking your fist at him, pointing your finger at him. Let's see what happened here.
Wow, he just turned right.
Looked like the car got down on maybe down on the apron there just a little bit, and the back end came around.
Perhaps repairable damage, perhaps not.
Oh, he got hit. Yeah, there you go.
Was that Jeff Burton behind him?
And that's Matt Kenseth in the 17 car that they got together as well.
I was starting to say that he almost had to get hit from what we saw initially. Trouble. That's what happens when you have to start near the back of the field.
Let's ride with Tony Stewart just in front.
He never knew. He didn't know what happened. Never lifted out of the throttle. He was just minding his own business. Got run over from the back.
Now, Larry, the damage looks repairable, but these cars are massaged so much in the wind tunnel. Don't know if he'll be competitive. Now, there's Stewart to the left as you ride with Sadler.
Yeah, Sadler was trying to squeeze in there. He got into the 17, bounced off of him over into the 20.
Damage on Sadler's car as well.
I mean, this is a car that finished second in the Daytona 500 in February and third a year ago. But yeah, aero is so important here. You want to keep that front end. It has to stay just as clean as possible. We have some of the guys at the back of the pack taking advantage coming to pit road. Ricky Craven comes in, Kyle Petty, Elliott Sadler, of course, with damage, Jeff Burton in the 99, and Matt Kenseth in the 17 as well that we saw was involved in that with Tony Stewart.
And I don't care how minor it looks, Mike, when these cars crash at 190 miles an hour, it's a lot worse than it looks. Some of it's cosmetic like this, but you do chassis damage as well, particularly if you get into the fence.
An airliner takes off at what, 160 miles an hour? Would you want to take off when one that had damage looking like that? No thanks.
Here you see they're going to take Tony Stewart, the 20 car, behind the wall, but you better believe these guys will go to work on this car. He comes in here 5th in points, and in the last 6 races, he scored more points than anybody on the circuit.
Speedway, this is MRN Radio.
Yeah, he had to be considered a pre-race favorite, but Daytona has not been kind to him this year. Out early in the 500, and now here he is out already in this race.
Stewart left Daytona in February, 43rd in the point standings, and he has climbed to 5th.
They were trying to push the car, and it just was so much damage he couldn't push it.
So caution out at lap 2. Want to welcome those of you joining from the Dodgers-Cardinals game. We're at Daytona International Speedway for the Pepsi 400, and we're under caution at lap 2. Elliott Sadler and Tony Stewart, last year's runner-up for the Winston Cup Championship, colliding on the backstretch. Both drivers okay. Damage to both cars. Stewart behind the wall. Sadler stays in the race. Daytona, hallowed ground, victory lane. That's where Tony Stewart wants to be. This is not the way he wants to get there. He's behind the wall after being involved in a crash with Matt Kenseth and Elliott Sadler.
Here's what happens, Mike. Here's the 45 car up here. He gets up high, he gets shoved up out of the groove. Here comes the 17 back here. He runs up on the back of the 45. He's got to get out from behind him. He starts down. The 21's there. They get together, into the 20 goes the 21 car. He bounces off the side of the 17 car. There's your wreck.
Steve Burns.
Well, Mike, they're pretty confident they can get this Pontiac back in the race. Crew Chief Greg Zipadelli saying they're going to try to replace the nose, a partial nose, the right front of that Pontiac, and get Stewart back in the race.
5th in the points coming into this race. A great comeback after running only a couple of laps in the season opening Daytona 500.
But Mike, that's what happens here. Usually thing is because somebody has to get out of the throttle and the other guy doesn't or can't in time to keep from running in the back of him. Takes an evasive move, usually causes a wreck.
You saw the damage to Matt Kenseth's car. He's sporting a new paint job. A lot of commemorative paint jobs here tonight, as Kevin Harvick has led all of the 5 laps so far.
Green flag, green flag.
See the Fox tracks there. Kevin Harvick bringing them slow to the restart. Started off about 55 miles.
Oh, yeah. There's cars running all over each other back in the pack here because of that terrible restart.
Kurt Busch locked up the brakes. That was the smoke you saw.
I think some cars got some front end damage. I think I saw a couple of guys bounce off each other.
There you see it's going to be about 145 miles an hour. Enter turn 1. Now you will not reach potential speed with the restrictor plate till you almost run a full lap, lap and a half. Remember, they're wide open all the way around this racetrack.
Harvick brought them down so slow here to take the green that it bottlenecked everything up, backed everything up. A bunch of cars were running all over each other.
He should be about 70 miles an hour. That's just what the pace car speed is. So he was about 15, 20 miles an hour slower than the pace car speed.
Back when A.J. Foyt was racing, they called that a Texas restart.
There's a lot of names for it at the short tracks around the country, Darrell, as you well know. Dick Berggren on Elliott Sadler, who's involved in that crash.
Well, Sadler finished second in the Daytona 500. His crew chief is Pat Tryson. How badly wounded is the car in tonight's race?
It's not real bad, but it's, you know, for Daytona it's bad. It's a motorcraft quality parts. Got a little fender bender there on both sides, so we had to work on both fenders. Got them the best we could for right now. We'll just have to see if we can hold on to the draft here for the first 20, 25 laps to get us that caution and work on it some more and try to make it a little better.
All right, thank you. To Matt Yoakum.
Well, Ricky Craven also pitted under that caution for a possible tire rub. But now, Mike Beam, do you have a possible engine problem?
I don't know. He said it just wouldn't go here at first, and you know we thought maybe something's in the cow, but it wasn't. You know, run a fast lap right there, so hopefully we just come from the rear here and you know make it a good night.
This team is chasing $1 million tonight, 13th in points. It could be a huge night for the 32 team.
At the front of the field, a 10-car breakaway, and it includes all 3 cars of Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, which come in here as the favorites.
And they were single file for about almost a lap. And when you're single file in the draft, you will pull away from cars that's running side by side because they're back there disturbing the air for each other. But all of a sudden, these guys decide they want to start racing. If the other group gets lined up, they'll catch them in a hurry.
Yeah, it's hard to get away. You might get a little gap like we see now, but it's hard. There's a car up high going into turn 3.
The wall behind you.
It's Johnny Benson.
Boy,
Benson.
stay up there. Stay up there. Hold it up there.
Can't.
Don't come down.
Everybody gets.
Oh, man. Got another
All the way
car
down, all the way
smoking
down,
coming
all the way
off the
down.
corner
You're
here.
okay.
Caution waving as they come to the line. And the car
That's
smoking
Kenny
is Kenny Schrader, Benson's teammate.
The 36 car.
Yeah, that's I think it looks like an oil leak on Schrader's car, like an oil line.
Grease. The oil pressure is still good. Oil pressure is still good.
He's got an oil
Something
line.
came off Johnny's car when he had problem.
Something came off of Benson's car, he says, and must have punctured an oil line. Now, I believe all of this havoc we're having here, this mayhem, is because we've had no practice. These cars have not been on the racetrack together like this all weekend long.
In NASCAR, they're going to give these guys a caution after they run about 20 or 25 laps to adjust their car. But right now, we're only getting about 2 or 3 green laps of running.
Did you call the driver and tell him that? Because they don't act like it.
But how ironic and how unpredictable in this race that teammates go out in the same corner. Benson in the wall, piece off his car, hits his teammate Schrader.
Guess what happened here in February? Piece off of Michael's car. Oh, he looked like he got turned.
That's Johnny Benson up against the wall.
In February here, a piece off of Michael's car cut down Dale Jr.'s right front tire, teammates. That looked like, I'm not so sure he didn't get some help getting up there like that, Larry.
Yeah, there you saw the Schrader on the bottom, and there's Johnny Benson.
Of course, just been back 2 or 3 races after being injured back at Richmond in a Busch Series race.
And broke a couple of ribs when he hit the turn 3 wall at Richmond.
And going into the 3rd turn there and get hooked though, like he did and turned up into the wall, that's going to hurt. He's stunned.
Let's have another look here.
Yeah, they're coming down the back here.
There's Benson right there in the 10 car. He moved up.
And no, he didn't move up. Whoever
the car right there got into his right rear.
That car moved down. I don't know why, but something caused that car, the outside car, to move down. That's kind of hard to tell who that was. But somebody clipped him in the right rear.
So Benson, who led a number of laps in the Daytona 500 and might have won it, one of several drivers who had a chance to win, is out early tonight.
That's the same look he had when he got out of the car at Richmond, Mike.
Schrader on pit road with the hood up with that damage from the Benson crash. Bobby Hamilton there. Hut Strickland goes by. Stacy Compton, Jeff Burton, Kyle Petty, and Terry Labonte are all on pit road. One more lap to clean up the second caution of the night, and we'll go back to green flag here in the Pepsi 400.
Well, here's what happened. Here's Michael right here. Coming down the outside, he feels like he's going to get hung out to dry. 31 moves up, and here comes the 10 to go with him, and they collide. The 10's moving up a little, Michael's moving down a little. They come together, turns Benson into the fence.
I mean, one was definitely moving up, one was coming down.
Exactly, and they're just trying to get in the preferred line, taking up the same real estate.
Now let's go to Jeff Hammond for an update on Tony Stewart.
What they're trying to do right now with Tony Stewart's car, the reason why they brought it behind the wall, is he hit so hard it has taken all these support bars and pushed it in close to the radiator and really messed up the shape of the far as the front nose is concerned right here. Right here you see the support bars on our car. All these bars were crushed into the radiator, so they had to get these bars cut away to be able to bring the nose back out. And the reason for that is, here at Daytona, like any super speedway, you try to keep this arrow shape right here to make the car more aerodynamic so it can run through the air, make good downforce, make the car where it's got some speed. One other thing that's happened here is because of the front end so much damage, the air that comes over the hood was wrinkled. Cal was not able to get any air, so they had to get the hood fitted back up, so they thought it'd be best to go behind the wall to work and make all this stuff fit back up so they can make this shape. The only way they could do that was bring it behind the wall, cut everything away, and you see them right now, they're welding support bars back to the nose to make that area stiff enough so that at 190 miles an hour, Tony Stewart's got an opportunity to run in the draft.
Yeah, and Jeff, they only have one shot to get him back out there. One, it has to be safe, but he's going to find it hard to find anybody to run with, and he has to maintain a minimum speed of 55.89 seconds. They've been racing in the mid-48s.
But based on what we've seen, Larry, getting this car fixed and getting it back out there could pay big dividends at the end of the night because they're wrecking left and right. At least his is repairable.
Yeah, absolutely. And Darrell, one thing I want to add, it doesn't seem he's got any kind of suspension damage right now.
We're coming to green. We'll get speeds at the line to see if Kevin Harvick is again bringing them down for one of those Texas restarts.
It's already a little quicker.
I'm pretty sure he got a call.
Green flag, green flag.
Started about 66 miles an hour. Going up through the gearbox now. Probably came down there in second gear, grabs third, then grabs high gear. 115 miles an hour at the start-finish line.
That lead draft is 40 cars long. That's how many cars are on the lead lap as Ken Schrader restarted on the inside because he is one lap down. He started alongside the leader and is trying to get his number 36 back on the lead lap.
And he has the help of fast race cars. Jeff Gordon in the 24 car, Dale Jarrett in 88, that inside line lined up behind him. I mean, look how close these guys are running. And this is getting up to almost 185, 190 miles an hour.
That's why we wreck. When you race that close together, just one little slip, and you're into the guy, and you're 180 miles an hour, and you wreck.
Kevin Harvick has led all 13 laps so far. But Dale Jarrett has pushed Jeff Gordon into the lead.
24 races without a win. I believe Jeff Gordon's going to be up on the wheel tonight, guys, because he can win this race. He's got a good race car. This would be a good race for him to win.
The man on the move, though, is Rusty Wallace. That number 2 Ford started 37th and climbed up to 11th place in just 2 laps. He's up to 9th now.
And he was fast in practice before qualifying, and they were pretty much scratching their head. I talked to his crew chief, Billy Wilburn. They just could not figure out why they lost so much time when they went to qualify.
You can come from with restrictor plates. Starting in the back is not a problem. You got a fast car, you can drive right to the front because you're drafting off every car you come to.
Interesting that Dale Earnhardt Jr. has now won all the restrictor plate races.
Still there.
Except the Daytona 500. That's the one where you have to give up your car for a year to Daytona USA. He's won all the others. He gets to keep running the same car.
It might not be all bad.
It's a great problem to have.
Yeah. Yes. Like I said, it's good news, bad news. Good news, you won the race. Bad news, they're going to take your car away from you.
His teammates, Michael Waltrip in the 15 and Steve Park in the 1 in that lead pack.
Kenny Schrader in the 36 car, he got caught in the middle where he's up there trying to get that lap back. He's going to fall back to about 7th or 8th position on the racetrack.
The 09, a car we don't see often, but when we see it, it's up near the front. Jeff Bodine, the 1985 Daytona 500 winner, finished 3rd in this year's 500 in this James Finch-owned number 09 Ford. And pulling up alongside the Bodine's white Ford is that silver Dodge of Sterling Marlin, our point leader.
I just hope Sterling can keep all of his fenders straight tonight.
Him and Rusty Wallace in the 2 car, they're starting to work that high groove. There, see Mike Wallace in the 33 pulling up behind him as well. Now they have Harvick in the 29 caught in the middle. What he's listing for right now is the spotters say clear behind somebody.
He's not doing that on purpose. He's not going backward on purpose. Whoa, he just about got in trouble right there off of going into turn 3. He and I believe that's Todd Bodine or
Smoke.
There it goes.
Trouble.
Car.
Hard in the wall goes Mike Wallace. Scoots across into the grass, and half the field goes to pit road to take evasive action as the caution flag flies for the 3rd time in just 17 laps.
We do have a pit road speed, but when something like this happens, it don't matter. They're doing what they need to do to try to stay out of trouble. You almost could see that starting to happen way back in turn 4.
This is like deja vu all over again as far as I'm concerned. The wrecks here are. The hits just keep on coming, guys.
Watch the white 33 of Mike Wallace, white with a blue roof in the outside lane.
That 31 car is really probably what caused this problem.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 8 just slides up in front of him.
People are having to slow down and take evasive action because there's a car up there high trying to get back in line. Somebody checks up just a little bit and you get tapped from behind.
And as the field accordion, it'll look like Steve Park got into the back of Mike Wallace and turned him around.
See Park there. Boy, everybody in that crowd right there. Oh man, that car almost tipped over.
All 3 wrecks have been where somebody has clipped somebody with fender to quarter pounder.
Just not quite enough room to get in line.
Let's watch it with Fox Tracks to show Mike Wallace's speed.
184 miles an hour, slowing down just a little bit right here as he pulls up on the back of Sterling Marlin. There you see he clips the wall running almost 150 miles an hour.
And boy, I tell you what, that's a great job on everybody's part to not get any more cars involved.
There's a lot of cars coming at him.
Mike Wallace in a part-time ride for Andy Petrie Racing that they hope to turn into a multi-race deal, colliding with Steve Park, whose option was not picked up by Dale Earnhardt Incorporated on the June 15th deadline. So Park is hoping to stay with this team or get picked up by another for next season.
Well, there's a lot of talk about Sam Harness Jr. coming in from the IRL series, and I tell you, that's a lot of talent right there from what I've seen in the IRL.
We saw him at Richmond the other Saturday night.
Oh,
Saturday night he just blistered him in the last couple of laps. 3 caution flags in just 18 laps to start the Pepsi 400. The fireworks have come early here at Daytona.
I still think some of the problems on these guys clipping each other, and we've seen that a lot this year, is the big headrest that we run now. The pits are still closed. That's what that flag means. These big headrests, the Hans device, the Hutchins device, I think it's really limiting the amount of peripheral vision that drivers have. A lot of them have little mirrors there now on the side so they can see down the side of the car.
And I see a lot of our leaders coming to pit road right here. A little surprised. I know we're on lap 18, but only half of those laps have been run under green, but pretty much the whole field is hitting pit road, Steve Burns.
Jeff Gordon in. There will be no chassis adjustments to this 24 car of Jeff Gordon. 4 tires only, no chassis adjustments. Jeff likes the way the car is handling. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. pits. He's only going to take on fuel. The 88 car of Dale Jarrett pits. He will take on 4 tires, no major adjustments. He only pitted because he was going to wait and see what the 24 did. Jarrett, though, is going to lose a lot of track position.
This is the 31, Robbie Gordon. Look, he has that damage right there. I mean, that's what happens on pit road on Daytona. We end up with 35 to 40 cars on pit road at one time.
And they can't work on it right there because they're not in their pit stall.
There's obviously the car that he got into, Todd Bodine, in the 26. They're pitting right behind each other, right next to each other.
You know, if this was happening at the end of the race, I could understand it. But everybody's racing like this a 10-lapper.
A lot of damage to Todd Bodine's Ford. And there you see the corresponding damage to Robbie Gordon's Chevy.
He'll bring that back in, just put it on the card, I guess.
Kurt Busch is also in for an extended stop for left front damage to his Ford. So all these cars that spent 100 hours or more in the wind tunnel being so carefully massaged, a lot of them are bent up. The green flag is just waved to start lap 21. We've had 3 cautions in the early going. Matt Kenseth into Elliott Sadler, into Tony Stewart. Michael Waltrip and Johnny Benson got together. And then Steve Park tipped Mike Wallace around. Those are the 3 caution flags. Let's go to Johnny Benson's update. Dick Bergman.
Well, before Benson left his car, he told the crew find somebody else to finish the race. He had no intention of doing that. The crew is working on the car. His crew chief, James Ince, has just left the care center behind me. How's Johnny doing?
It appears that he's okay. They're doing some precautionary chest x-rays based on the wreck we had earlier this year at Richmond, and I believe he's all right. He got the wind knocked out of him pretty hard, and they're going to run these tests to make sure everything's perfect. And the only thing I know is he's done for the evening. I'll go back and see if we can fix the car, and I don't know if we can find a relief driver or not to put back in, but boy, it's tough racing at Daytona.
Yeah, they thought they had a good car. Maybe a shot to win this thing, Mike.
Now, Dick, 5 drivers stayed on the racetrack and did not pit, so they're up front. Jeff Burton, Bobby Hamilton, Jeremy Mayfield, Terry Labonte, and John Andretti. The first driver who stopped in that line at the restart was Dale Earnhardt Jr., who took on fuel only.
And that's not a bad call. I just had talked about before they come to pit road, they only had about 8 or 9 laps on their tires, so those tires really were still in good shape. But wanting to get that fuel in there where they know they can make a 50 or 55 lap run, don't look like we're going to have to do that based on the first 18 laps.
No, but I tell you what, we're getting so many cars knocked out here. They're going to get spread out all over the place. I think that things will settle down here very shortly.
Kurt Busch obeys a black flag, a signal to come to pit road for attention or penalty. Tell you who's coming hard is Ricky Rudd.
Right here, about 5 away.
As Busch makes the penalty stop.
And the reason he was black flagged is because he run the stop and go paddle at the end of pit road under caution. There's a man down there with a paddle that says red stop, green go, and he had flipped it to red because the field was coming, and he didn't beat the paddle man.
I think that'll cost him a lap.
Yeah, he's
plus time.
He's going to hold him there for until the leaders go by, it looks like.
Ricky Rudd, the Sonoma winner, on the outside, coming up against Jeff Burton for the lead.
Now, it's not that Jeff Burton and Bobby Hamilton in the 55 car, it's not that those guys have not pitted during this race. They actually were all in under that second caution around lap 10 or 11.
And right now, I know that the crew chiefs, the spotters, and everybody are talking to the drivers saying, hey, guys, let's settle down. We've got a long way to go here. But so many things happen here at Daytona that are out of your control. They truly are. The cars move. They go places you just don't expect them to.
We had a race here where Tony Stewart was in the front of the pack, got in a wreck, and landed on his teammate Bobby Labonte, who had been running at the very end of the pack. No place is safe.
Yeah, one was running 3rd, the other was running 29th, right. And they land on top of each other.
Go figure.
And their
caution is out. Pace car will pick up the field. And this is the caution that was talked about in the drivers' meeting at lap 25. Because the teams had no post-qualifying practice, NASCAR was going to give them a caution at or about lap 25 so they could come in and check on things. Check on tire wear, check, make sure everything is
I'm surprised.
Stuff.
I mean, we've had 3 cautions. We've had plenty of chances to come in and work on the cars, put tires on them, everything else. I guess that, you know, just doing what they said they'd do.
Yeah, I mean, normally what they would do, though, Darryl, when they talk about 20 to 25 and you have 3 cautions in the first 18 laps, is maybe when you have a 20-lap green flag run without a caution. And I don't anticipate very many cars coming to pit road because they were just on pit road, a lot of them 4 tires.
Yeah, maybe those guys that didn't pit this last time, they might want to take a chance. But I believe what I've seen so far, I'm going to stay out front. I don't care if I do run out of gas.
The safest place is leading this race. And sometimes it's not safe.
Come on in. I can't hear you.
Mike Wallace has taken his car to the garage. Damage incurred in the 3rd caution. Johnny Benson, 2 cracked ribs after that collision with the turn 3 wall, and perhaps, as James Ince pointed out, residual effect of his hard crash into the wall driving Ted Marsh's Busch car at Richmond.
Yeah, he was walking very gingerly as he got out of that car and into the ambulance.
Pit road's open and no takers at the front of the field. How about we take a pit stop, and we'll be right back with the Pepsi 400 on Fox.
Welcome back live to Daytona and the Pepsi 400. And this track fact is brought to you by Taco Bell. The construction here back in 1957. First Daytona 500 won by Lee Petty in 1959. The first night race at Daytona won by Jeff Gordon. And, of course, the all-time Daytona race winner, Dale Earnhardt, with 34 wins. Taco Bell wants to remind you to think outside the bun. We had 3 caution flags. Jeff Hammond inside of 17 laps here. Now we're in our 4th caution. And do you think this has a lot to do with the limited practice time?
Yes, I do, Chris. I think that a lot of these teams right now, a lot of these cars that are getting in these problems are just off that little bit. And because they think they need to get to the front in a hurry, a little bit too much impatience and not knowing what the cars are going to do are creating some of these problems.
Jeff Burton currently the leader. He won the Pepsi 400 in 2000. Tony Stewart, one of the pre-race favorites, went out in a hurry, and down below here where we are at Victory Lane as they continue to work on the car. He has remained in the car while they've worked, and he is steaming mad over that earlier accident that he thought Elliott Sadler possibly made a poor decision on.
Well, I'm not going to say he knows this. Elliott Sadler was the cause of it by now. I'm sure he has. But the thing I think about right now, Tony is raced so hard to get himself back in contention his points and get taken out so early. You can see the frustration on his face, the whole crew, but they work very diligently to get this car put back together right. We talked about it earlier. When they go back on the speedway, if they can't maintain minimum speed and keep up with the pack, they'll have to bring it in. They're not going to be done. So they're trying to make sure it's right. Greg Zippendale and the guys are just about finish up repairs. They're trying to make sure everything's taped up, sealed up, and ready to go.
And Tony did a great job after disappointing last in the 500 to work his way back up through the points and is very frustrated here. The pole sitter, Kevin Harvick, having some problems. Let's check in with Steve Burns on that. Steve?
Well, Chris, earlier we talked about how Jeff Gordon's car had been at the wind tunnel to find an aerodynamic advantage. Well, Kevin Harvick sat on the pole, and Gil Martin, you guys were just lucky to get this car done in time to get down here.
Yeah, I tell you, this Goodrich Chevrolet's had a lot of different sheet metal on it this year. It started the year off as a singular car with Robbie Gordon here in February. We qualified 6th with it. At Talladega, sit on the outside pole with it. And it's never seen a wind tunnel, but I tell you what, we got a lot of faith in our fab shop at home. Adam Meyer, Bobby Hutchins, those guys, they know exactly what they're doing. They've done it a long time.
All right, thanks, Gil. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
A few moments ago, in an incident on pit road, a collision, Todd Bodine's rear tire changer, Bill Kerwood, was hit. He has been taken to the infield care center. A spokesperson for the team said he's okay. He just got pinched. Crew chief Donnie Wingo is now changing front sides.
Thanks, Dick. We're set to go back to green. Jeff Burton, Bobby Hamilton, Ricky Rudd, who did not pit on that last caution, lead Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Sterling Marlin, along with Rusty Wallace, Dale Jarrett, and John Andretti. Now we're hearing on the in-car two-way radio communication that Jeff Gordon, instead of taking the green flag, may come to pit road.
He's talking about maybe possibly having a flat tire.
Pace car is in.
So is Jeff Gordon. He's on pit road.
Green
really
flag.
Gonna cost him.
Come on down, watch your speed.
And Jeff Gordon thinks he has a flat left rear tire. Bill Elliott gave a visual from his car and confirmed it. Gordon is in. They will change left side tires on the 24 of Jeff Gordon. A flat left rear tire.
Darrell, you can do that without losing a lap, but you're a lonely man out there.
Yeah, he'll go a lap down if he doesn't get a caution, because you can't run by yourself. There's about a second difference in the lap times.
Gordon, the defending series champion, winless this year.
Right now, he's just getting up to speed in turn 1. The pack is over in turn 3. They will, as you say, Darrell, they will catch him in a hurry, especially lined up like they are.
Yeah, you're, like you said, Mike, you're a lonely man. You're back out there, and that thing was turning 7,000, 7,100 when you were in the draft. Now you're turning about 6,500 and thinking there's something wrong with it.
Gordon is half a lap down as Jeff Burton comes to the stripe.
Under that caution, a lot of guys at the back of the pack, they pitted. The only 2 cars in the top 20 was Jeremy Mayfield in the 19, Joe Nemechek in the 25 pitted.
If you're a Singular Wireless customer, you can be a virtual crew chief. From your phone, send the word Fox as a text message to number 151. .30 of 160 laps complete. Terry Labonte outside the 09 of Jeffrey Bodine. Behind Labonte, Kevin Harvick, rookie Ryan Newman, and rookie Jimmy Johnson.
And there's that sucker hole, and Harvick's trying to go right up in it. You know, he gets a little suck off that 5 car, and right up into the middle of those 2 cars he goes, and that's not a good place to be.
We've got our interval Fox tracks here on Jimmy Johnson, the 48 car. You see right now he's about 2 1/4 seconds behind leader Jeff Burton. If that group can get lined up and quit racing 2 and 3 wide, then they could catch that group, and you'd be able to see how quick they could catch them.
Darrell, you're right. You don't often see people move forward up through the middle.
Oh, you'll think it's the way to go. You'll say, man, I got to run here, I got to run. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, what happened? And not only that, you got cars on both sides of you banging into you.
There's the lead pack. Single file, and there's Mike Skinner in the number 4, the man stuck in the middle. Whoa.
You see what happened?
Whoa, contact first with Blaney and then almost with Johnson.
That's all arrow. That car shoved up by itself. He had no control over that car whatsoever.
And that's what we also talked about, Darrell. You can do the 3 wide or 2 wide. There you see Tony Stewart, a 20 car. He's going to be back out on the racetrack. He's going to be 30 laps down with hopes that as attrition takes a roll, he'll be able to move up some positions. But that racetrack just narrows down, especially how tight the exit is on turn 4.
Now, you hear these drivers week in and what? Y'all folks, y'all heard them talk about, well, I got back in dirty air. Where do you think these cats are in right now?
Pretty dirty air.
This is filthy air here.
Steve Burns with an update on Jeff Gordon's problem.
And Mike, this is the left rear tire that came off of Jeff Gordon's tire. They sprayed a circle here. You can see bubbles. It's a cut or a puncture on that left rear tire of Jeff Gordon.
Fortunate that Gordon caught it under caution and not once he got up to speed.
But what the problem is right now, he's out there running like 49 flat, 49 20s, and the leaders is up there running 48 30. So he's losing 3/4 of a second to a second lap. You see the Fox tracks right here, his miles per hour, 181 miles an hour into turn 3. The leaders are running 186 into turn 3.
Let's get Fox tracks on leader Jeff Burton.
Looks like Dale Jr.'s car is really starting to come around now, Larry. He's sitting there in 2nd place and pretty content right now. Well, that's a great shot, isn't it? Holy cow, I'm ducking every time they go by.
I mean, you see all these cars now got lined up, now have their one big long line of cars, about 16 or 17 of them in a line. Now that group behind them back there, Jimmy Johnson, the 48 right there, if they could ever get lined up, just, you know, just halfway, just quit slicing and dicing, they would catch that lead group so fast.
And as simple as we make it, oh, get lined up. Well, you just can't. I mean, you can't hold up your hand and say, pardon me, can I get in right here, please? I'd like to move over a little bit if you don't mind.
It's like trying to get about 20 kids in the nursery to play nice.
Yeah, it just ain't going to happen.
Jeff Burton has won this race. He leads it. Dale Earnhardt Jr. also a former winner, the defending champion of this race. Let's go to his pit, Matt Yoakum.
Mike, the 3 DEI cars qualified 7th, 8th, and 9th. It chose pit stalls 3, 16, and 25. So in the old days, to converse without the other teams listening on the radio, they'd have to send someone running from pit stall to pit stall to pit stall. But starting with the Daytona 500 this year, they have an internet chat session Angela Walker, the computer specialist at DEI, set up an instant message session. So all 3 teams, Dan Stillman here in the 8 pit, Slugger Labby in the 15, and Dave Charpentier in the 1, can talk back and forth strategy. Stillman says they're possibly looking at maybe 4 tires on that stop. Slugger Labby said possibly 2. And that way, they can talk back and forth. The only problem, just like your cellular service, sometimes with so much usage in the area, they get knocked offline.
Now I've seen everything.
Yeah, that's pretty unique.
my man Van Colley be right at home with that. He'd be emailing everybody in the pits.
Well, it's like everybody started racing again. Now we have 1 pack of cars, and it's about 38 to 40 strong. Look at them. You're not right there.
You're not going to go anywhere.
Everybody but Jeff Gordon.
You're not going to go anywhere. The way these cars are, the balance of them, and the restrictor plate,
the importance of track position. Jeff Burton started 35th. There's Jeff Gordon, lonely guy. No date, Saturday night. Just out for a drive by himself.
It won't be by itself long. Look who's coming.
Here comes the rest of the field.
37 laps complete in Daytona. Laps complete, 1/4 distance. 40 laps, 100 miles in the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. First time in prime time on Fox. And Jeff Burton, who started 35th by not pitting on the last caution, has come to the front.
Now, Jeff Gordon's out there riding around 180 miles an hour. He ain't got a whole lot to do, so what do you think he's doing?
Looking for
debris.
He'd love to find that caution.
Pierre has got to be out here somewhere.
But I tell you what, he has a car in front of him right now, Robbie Gordon. If you can see a car, it's helping you. It's helping. He's breaking air. Robbie Gordon's out there, so this definitely will help Jeff Gordon for a few laps.
Yeah,
he's catching Robbie in a hurry.
Robbie's wounded.
Yeah, he's running 3.5 seconds slower than Jeff. Yeah, but he was some help.
Yes, absolutely.
Meanwhile, if Jeff just looks in his rearview mirrors, they're coming. Now, Gordon is still on the lead lap, but he's toward the tail end of it because Jeff Burton is bringing that fast train off turn 4.
Oh, and they are bunched up off of turn 4. Oh, this is ugly. UGLY. Better come up with an alibi.
And again, it's Mike Skinner in the middle. Ward Burton drops to the bottom, our Daytona 500 winner. And here's our points leader, Sterling Marlin, going for the lead to pick up those 5 bonus points for leading the race.
That could be, you know, could have made a deal with the 99. Let me lead, I'll let you back in front. But the way he went by, I'm not so sure that was the deal.
But DW, look at the 2 car up there, Rusty Wallace on the outside. Remember, he started back in 37th position, provisional land, and there he is in 2nd. And his teammate, Ryan Newman, in the 12th car, he was in provisional land at 39. He's up to 8. So, I mean, those 2 team cars didn't qualify good, but they're racing good. That's what Rusty told us the other day.
Yeah, they are. And I'm sure they're looking back saying, I'm glad I'm not hung up in that mess.
And from 6th on back, they've settled down to double file for the moment. Billy Kerwood, the tire changer on Todd Bodine's car, is being transported to Halifax Medical Center to have a look at his leg. Todd and Robbie Gordon collided on pit road while Gordon was leaving his pit after a gas-only stop as Todd was pulling into his.
Got pretty wild down there for a little bit.
4 caution flags in the first 25 laps, one of them NASCAR mandated.
At 31 cars. He's going to be right up in the way, and I know he'd like to probably stay up there and hook onto this lead draft, but I don't know if he can or not.
Because he's been running about 4 seconds slower because he's wounded. The front end of that car is all tore up.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has lost a spot to Dale Jarrett. As you watch from Sterling Marlin back to Rusty Wallace. 1st and 2nd, Dale Jarrett. And you're riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Matt?
Mike Dale Jr. just climbed from 6th to 5th. He says with cars on the inside, his Budweiser 8 Chevy is free on entry and it's loose up off the corner, but it's very decent up top. And he says the car is especially loose off turn 2.
Hard to see it at these speeds, but Earnhardt Jr.'s car has horsehide baseball-style stitches running all down both flanks. A big bat along the side to help celebrate the Major League Baseball All-Star Game that you will see on Fox Tuesday night at the end of this long Memorial Day weekend, if you or 4th of July weekend, if you will. Tuesday night on Fox.
Now, if you watch Dale Jr., he's going to try to keep that car right on the bottom. But what's happening is the car is actually a little too tight, more than likely, and it pushes itself loose as it comes up off the corner.
And what also can be happening, and it's a challenge for the crew chief, Daryl, if that thing has any arrow loose to it, you can't really fix it with chassis. You'll make it where it gets into the push loose because you've tightened the chassis, but the body is arrow loose.
And you'd like to put more spoiler on it. That would fix it, but it also would slow it way, way down.
On those straightaways.
You can go up with the rear blade. 55 is the minimum. You can run 70 if you want to. And I have here in the 4th of July. I've seen a car run a lot better when you added a little spoiler to it. It wouldn't be any faster, but it would handle better.
Two drivers on the move. Dave Blaney, the Jasper number 77, up to 11th after starting 30th. And our Daytona 500 champion in the 22, Ward Burton. Since starting 41st, he's climbed just outside the top 10.
But Mike, you mentioned it earlier. You talked to his caller, Bill Davis. They had a reason why they qualified bad. You have that cowl induction opening that forces fresh air to the carburetor, and it had collapsed. There's no wonder that they didn't qualify very good on yesterday.
And sometimes, Mike, you'll come down here and you'll give up a lot qualifying to have a good handling, good driving race car in the race. And that's critical the 4th of July here, as hot as it is.
Jeff Gordon out in front of the lead pack, in danger of going a lap down.
DW, you guys keep talking about the cars and the way they handle. I talked to Tony Glover earlier today, and our leader, Sterling Marlin, I asked him, I said, hey, you guys have had a lot of success here at Daytona. What's the key in your mind? He says, getting off of turn 2, Jeff. He said, if my driver can run off of turn 2 wide open, he can set himself up to make passes and to keep people from making passes on him. We've already heard Matt Yoakum say that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is loose off that corner, so it's going to hurt him as far as moving up and being able to try to move up through the field. He may be able to hang on. We can already see running that bottom groove. You can see Tony Glover right there. He's sitting there watching Sterling Marlin. He knows he's got that car working off of turn 2.
And the way they do that, Jeff, I remember down here a couple of times when they were with the 4 car, they pull the front fenders out. They get those front fenders pulled out there, particularly that left one, and you'd say, hey, that's going to slow me down, and that car will maybe not be as fast on the restarts, but it comes on as it gets into runs.
And what's good about that race car right there, they wasn't involved in the big one the last 2 or 3 restrictor plate races, and the more you can run a car, the more you learn about it, and the more you know what its characteristics are. So they know about that race car, what it needs and what it's looking for.
One other thing I could before you go here is that he also said they've changed their setup. Ever since 1990, they used to run the same setup, but now with the way the new configurations are, the new rules, Tony said they have to constantly look for better ways to make their race car run up front.
Jeff Gordon is leading 1 second per lap to the lead pack. They're about to catch him and put him 1 lap down in the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. Jeff Gordon, a 2-time winner of this race, has been lapped. He made a pit stop just at the end of a caution period for a flat left rear tire. Stayed out in front of the pack for some time, but now he's been lapped, and he and Sterling Marlin got together a lap or so ago. Here's a look at it.
I'm thinking Jeff probably tried to block Sterling so he could get up there and run and try to stay in front of him. But you know what, Larry? You may or may not know this. I think you do. Dale Earnhardt ran a bigger bar in his bumper than most other guys did, just so when he bumped somebody like that, he didn't get his front end all caved in.
Absolutely, because you caved that front end, the day's over.
You saw those little flimsy bars that Jeff was showing you that most guys run up there to hold the nose in place, but a smart guy, he'll run a little bit heavier bar there just in case he wants to bump draft.
Sterling Marlin becomes the 4th different leader of this race after Kevin Harvick, Jeff Gordon, and Jeff Burton.
I tell you, a guy, one of those Robert Yates cars that qualified good, the 88 car, Dale Jarrett qualified 5th, and he's moved up to 4th position. I believe Matt Yoakum has a little information on DJ's car.
Well, Larry Mack, the 4-time Daytona winner, out of driver 5, has been quiet on the radio. The only thing that he has said is his temperatures have been climbing. The water climbed to 220. So since the car is running a little hot, he's had to poke out that nose to try to get a little air into that radiator to cool down that water every now and then to try to bring those temperatures down. And a lot of people, Larry, like we talked earlier today, had to guess a little bit about how much tape to use on the front of that race car since we didn't have a final practice session.
I mean, absolutely, that's a product of no practice, and you can't totally go back to your February notes because the weather was much cooler. You can't go back to last July's notes because with that strip across the roof, it changed the airflow through the grill. So there was a lot of crap shooting and guessing. You want to run as much tape as you can because that reduces the drag. So there's a lot of guessing going on the front end tape.
Yeah, and the grill on the Ford, the nose right there where the grill is real laid back. And so it doesn't see quite as much air as some of the other cars does.
Larry, keep talking about how we need to cool these race cars. One guy kind of dodged the bullet this week, or earlier today, was Michael Waltrip, guy running second place right now. They actually cranked the car up, and just as they shut the engine off, they noticed that the radiator was spitting water out. The electric fan on the back side of the radiator had actually worn a hole into a brand new radiator. They had to change the radiator before they put the car on the line, and at least as far as right now is concerned, it looked like they took care of the problem. He dodged a big bullet. If they'd gotten out of that garage area without catching it, he wouldn't be where he is right now.
Yeah, and I think one of the things about Michael's car, Jeff, is the longer they run, the shock package, I know kind of what he runs in that car, and it'll take care of the tires better than some of these other guys' stuff will. The longer he runs, the better he gets.
I tell you, Dale Earnhardt Jr., that Budweiser car, Dale Jarrett, the UPS car, they've been side by side. Rusty and the 2 car behind them, Rusty Wallace, he's trying to figure out which one of these guys is going to prevail. He'll move up behind Dale Earnhardt Jr., he'll move behind Dale Jarrett in the 88.
You hear him lifting in and out of the throttle, too, just a little bit there.
You saw as he went up the racetrack how that squirreled up the 8 car in front of him.
Still there, still there.
These cars are hooked together. You just can't see it. They're hooked together by funnels of air, by tunnels of air. And when you go in and out of that tunnel, you move that car around.
14 cars are in that lead pack. As you watch from Michael Waltrip. Sterling Marlin, Waltrip in second. Dale Jarrett, Dale Earnhardt Jr. side by side for third, and Rusty Wallace looking on.
And these cars will just go backs and forth. One on the outside will move up about a half a car length ahead. One on the inside, they'll just go backs and forth, backs and forth. Can't quite make the pass.
And you know what, guys? We've had our longest green flag run here, about 27 or 28 laps, and we have a typical Daytona now. We have about 3 or 4 packs out there. What's different from here, from Talladega? Handling is more of a characteristic here. It's more of the package. Your car has to drive good.
Turn 4, car hard in the wall, Kenny Wallace.
Caution is out.
Where's Jeff Gordon?
Trying to get back on the lead lap, no doubt. Caution out, leaders in turn 2. Now the leaders will not race one another, so here comes Gordon trying to bust his way through traffic.
Get by them if you can. Track's all clear.
That's Ronnie Thiel, Gordon's spotter.
I just don't believe Sterling Marlin will let Jeff Gordon have this lap back.
Everybody else will, but they tell you in the driver's meeting, let the leader keep the cars a lap down.
He's got a pretty good run, Darrell. I don't know.
But I don't think he can make it.
Sterling Marlin knows he gives that 24 car a lap back, it'll haunt him later.
Yeah, you know what else will haunt him? Is his crew.
Run that extra lap. We're going to have to get 4 tires on it. What's your temperature? 90 water, 2.
Kenny Wallace.
25 oil. A little bit loose.
He's got some left front damage there on the 24 car. See the sidewall and the left front tire all rubbed off? He got up against somebody. Pretty good, looks like.
I believe he got against Dave Blaney in the 77 on the backstretch.
Kenny Wallace cut down a right front tire, apparently. That's what propelled him into the outside wall at turn 4 to bring out our 5th caution of the night. And Darrell, what Sterling Marlin did just that then, pinning Jeff Gordon a lap down, is something we were talking about in Michigan, about who you need to race and who you don't amongst those lapped cars.
Yes,
or
sir.
tail end of the lead lap cars.
Sometimes it's okay to slow down and let a guy back because you know he can't beat you. But when you got somebody like Jeff Gordon who was leading the race up, they had trouble. You don't let him have a lap back if you can help him.
I would have to say we just had talked about almost 30 laps on this run. We will see most of our leaders to pit road for 4 tires. Because from here you could do it on one more stop as well.
And I'm sure there's lots and lots of guys that are thinking that very thing. Give me 4 tires, top me up real good here. Let me see if I can make it on one more stop.
This time by will complete 60 laps. 100 to go.
Because we've had so many cautions here early on. Now the field's bunched up again. We're going to have some pretty tight racing. But as they were spreading out there, you know, the racing is not so hectic. And you can start thinking about making it on one more stop.
Let me tell you what else is going to be hectic. We're going to have 35 cars all on pit road at one time, all the leaders. Dick Berger. Rusty Wallace is going to take 4 tires in his car. He is very pleased with the way this thing is running and has called for no changes on it whatsoever. He has said, however, that in his opinion, the 88 Jarrett may have an engine problem. Wallace still in the pits right now. First of the leaders to Steve.
Wants his car tightened up just a little bit. He'll get 4 tires, 1 pound out of the right rear, and a round-up wedge to Matt Yoakum.
Tony Uri Jr. is already hitting the lugs in the left front. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is down and away with a 4-tire change. He's not going to beat the 15 on. Dale Jarrett, the 88 car, with a little bit tight. He took a half a pound of air pressure out of both left side tires.
Pit stops completed. Michael Waltrip leads the charge off pit road. And trouble on our Daytona 500 pole sitter, the leading rookie, Jimmy Johnson.
Looks like they're working on the right front fender. Got some damage over there. Putting a Band-Aid on it, trying to.
Here's the 2 winners off pit road right there. Those DEI cars. Michael Waltrip in the 15, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 8. We'll look at the race at the end of pit road. There you see the stripe.
And that's where they measure who beats who back onto the racetrack. That's where the field is frozen. We're under caution. We'll be right back. The 5th caution flag of the night came out of lap 59 when Kenny Wallace cut down a tire and hit the wall hard. Leading rookie Jimmy Johnson has damage to his car, and they're making repair panels down behind the pit wall. Steve Burns.
Well, Mike, as the crew works on the right front, a replacement piece for the right front, we'll talk to crew chief Chad Canals. Chad, tell us about the damage.
The 43 car checked up early on in that run, and Jimmy ran into him and knocked a big hole in the right front there. You know, we're concerned about losing too much track position, but we also got to get the car fixed.
We see the crew working on a replacement piece. Will you have to put it back on?
We'll kind of see what happens here. Jimmy's trying to talk to me here. We're going to see what happens here, you know, see how the car handles. We got most of the hole patched up, but, you know, we just have to see what happens. I don't know yet. How's that?
Let's go back upstairs to Mike.
Now, as the caution waved for Kenny Wallace in turn 4, let's ride with Jeff Gordon, who was trying to get a lap back from leader Sterling Marlin, and listen to his spotter, Ron Thiel.
Down, caution's out for a wreck off the turn 4. 1 car incident. See if you can get back by them leaders.
All right, this is what you call a move of desperation by a guy that's won a lot of races. But I got to get by you guys. I got to get that lap back. And I'm sorry if it made you mad.
Excuse me, pardon me. Gotta go.
I've got to go now.
We're set to go back to green. At lap 63, Michael Waltrip leading Dale Jarrett. Waltrip's teammate, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Point leader, Sterling Marlin. So it's Chevy, Ford, Chevy, Dodge. Then Rusty Wallace, Jeff Burton, Dave Blaney in Fords, Bobby Hamilton, Mike Skinner in Chevys.
Well, if you were here last July, this could spell trouble for everybody with that 15 and 8 up front.
Here you see on the Fox tracks, Michael Waltrip, the leading the race right now, brings him down almost 70 miles an hour. You saw Kevin Harvick back in 20 at the pole sitter at about 75 miles an hour. He was lagging back and getting a run.
The biggest mover on pit stops, that Robbie Reiser-led crew for Matt Kenseth. Kenseth came in 21st, came out 14th.
Yeah, but, you know, he's got a lot of body damage on the left side there from that earlier incident. They probably need to stop in the pits there and work on that a while.
A 2-lap penalty now on Kurt Busch, and the number 97 being held in the pits. And a correction on the earlier NASCAR report on injuries. Billy Kerwood, the tire changer, is being x-rayed at the care center in the infield. It was Johnny Benson who, with the 2 cracked ribs, was transported to Halifax Medical Center. Well, fellas, it's our last Winston Cup race of the season on Fox. NBC TNT take over next week. No, we haven't done yet tonight.
Crank it up. 20,000 horsepower.
Wide open.
sound and the fury of Winston Cup racing. 4th of July fireworks of a different kind.
Yeah, I don't know what you call that, but I call that music. I love it.
Big loser on their round of pit stops was Ricky Rudd, who came in 11th and came out 17th.
And then everybody else 2 by 2.
We need to document the reason they're holding Kurt Busch on pit road this time in the 97 car is he moved up the pit. He passed cars before coming to pit road.
And under caution, you cannot do that. Now here's Rudd trying to regain lost ground, and right behind him in the 25, last night's Busch Series winner, Joe Nemechek.
And he started dead last, but I found out why. They changed gears before qualifying, didn't put enough lubricant in the gear. He had a fast race car in practice, and he told me, watch me, I'll be good tonight.
Well, if he's anything like he was last night, he'll be awesome.
Kurt Busch has been released by the NASCAR officials back onto the racetrack. He is 6 laps down and without benefit of the draft.
And that's 2 penalties tonight. Remember, he ran the stop-and-go paddleman earlier, and I think back to Lowe's Motor Speedway. Had a great race car, but had penalties on pit road.
He's just not getting the message yet. But nights like tonight, he'll get it sooner or later.
Teammates Michael Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt Jr., who had finished 1-2 here in that order and in the reverse order.
This is deja vu right here, all over again.
Driving for the team started by the late Dale Earnhardt, who picked Steve Park as his first Winston Cup driver. Then Dale Jr. moved up from the Busch Series, and Michael Waltrip came aboard. Dale's widow Teresa now owns and runs this team, and has to be pleased to see 2 of her drivers out front at 68 laps.
Well, I'm particularly impressed with the job my brother has done the last several weeks, guys. I mean, he's been in the top 10 just about everywhere we've been the last several weeks. Now up front tonight.
I tell you, Mike Skinner, that Ford car, boy, he shot the hole up through the middle without a lot of help. They were 3 wide. He said, boys, you're not peeing them in the middle here before we get to turn 3. And he shot the gap.
Sometimes you look around and see who you're racing with and decide maybe you ought to let off and let them go on.
5 cars trying to sprint away from the field. Behind them, about 25 trying to run them down. 70 laps complete next time by in the Pepsi 400 on Fox. 73 laps complete of 160. Michael Waltrip leading his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. in Chevrolets. Sterling Marlin, the point leader in a Dodge. Rusty Wallace, who's never won a big race at Daytona, in 4th in a Ford, and Dale Jarrett 5th. Let's go on board Sterling Marlin.
Hey, listen, we done got our 5 points now. Done led some laps, so let's be smart here. And from what I'm seeing right now, we ain't going to have a heck of a lot of friends at the end. Unless some Dodgers make some big gains. So we need to find somebody that's going to work with us and be their buddy. All right.
What I like about that, I mean, that's good information for Sterling because it's something to think about at the end of the race. But I liked how calm he was, Mike. I mean, he's sitting there. He's not excited. I mean, the car obviously is doing a great job. And look at this.
Tony Santanicola, the engine builder. You know, Steve, why is he carrying the carburetor?
Mike, I cannot answer that question, but I can tell you this, that Sterling Marlin also told his spotter, Lauren Renier, go over to the 2 spotter and ask him why Rusty won't run behind us. The answer was that Rusty's running a little bit hot, so occasionally he'll dart from side to side just to get some air to the radiator.
Yeah, I mean, they build motors for several teams. They obviously have Sterling Marlin. They have Jimmy Spencer. You know, maybe what they're complaining about, the thing's missing or something, and they're anticipating maybe changing the carburetor would fix a miss. Maybe it feels like it's surging or something.
Yeah, and that's the standard answer from another car. When you ask them to run behind you, I can't. I'm running hot.
Well, the only Dodge that's in a position to help them is Ward Burton, the number 22 in 9th place. He's not near close enough to help Sterling. We've got a long way to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, folks, don't get comfortable now, because just because we're spread out a little bit here right now, I guarantee you things will pick up here in a little bit.
Guys, how about that yellow car on the bottom right there? Dave Blaney in the 77 car. I mean, this is a single car operation. Ryan Pemberton, the crew chief, they do use Jasper Penske engine, but I mean, he started back in 30th, and his best restrictor plate finish ever is 17th, and he's been running in the top 10 for the last 40 or 50 laps.
Well, I think the way we see Rusty's car running, Ryan Newman's been up there. They got the same power, and I think that's the key to their success here this weekend is that power they got under the hood.
Now here's Rusty, who started 37th. He's up to 4th. Blaney,
With you, 4 lengths back. 2 wide behind you.
Blaney started 30th. He's up to 5th. Doesn't matter where you start here, does it?
Oh, no.
Never
Starting in the
does.
back is not a bad thing. It's kind of like coming up on the interstate and you got 5 lanes there. You just pick the one that's moving. And you just keep moving up through there till you get to the front.
Ryan Newman started 39th. He's 7th. Ward Burton started 41st. He's up to 9th.
I'm pretty impressed with Ward Burton. I mean, he's hanging in here. Not in too bad a shape right now. Mark Martin's right in that mix.
Yeah, Mark's up to 9th, started back in 18th. Didn't sound real happy about his race car yesterday or the way it was running.
And what's happened here? This lead pack has now split. It's like an amoeba. It's divided itself in half. 5 in front, 5 trailing.
Of course, all these cars are on the lead lap with the exception of Jeff Gordon in the 24 car right there, who's fixing to be in the middle of this group. He's going to be sandwiched between teammates, Ryan Newman in the 12 and Rusty in the 2. Ryan made a good move there, though. He fell back in behind him. He didn't push the envelope on the exit of that corner.
Yeah, he'd probably like to have worked with his teammate, but he couldn't. He was pinned down on the inside. But what we're going to see here for a little while now is the cars. Now we're going to see whose car really handles good. We're getting strung out here. We're going to make some long runs. It's who's got the best handling package now.
Well, Joe Nemechek told us after last night's win, he could have run off the corners on the bottom and on the bottom against the yellow line all the way down the straightaway, all the way around the racetrack. So if you can get a Busch Series car to do that, chances are somebody in the Winston Cup garage has figured out how to do the same thing if necessary. Let's go back to Steve Burns on Tony Santanicola.
Well, Mike, it may not be a big story. Tony, we got all excited watching you carry that carburetor, but there's no problem.
No, I always have a spare carburetor every race. I just forgot to bring it out.
All right, thanks for clearing that up, Tony.
Just happen to have one in my pocket.
Yeah, well, we've been watching Sterling, and he certainly doesn't have a carburetor problem.
Well, you better believe as Tony walked behind every pit carrying that carburetor, he got all the team's attention saying, hey, look, they might have a carburetor problem.
And good news from Todd Bodine's crew. Billy Kerwood has been released from the infield care center. He is on crutches, but it appears that nothing is broken. So that's good news. Michael Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Sterling Marlin lead in Daytona.
Here's today's halfway recap brought to you by Coors Light. The pole sitter Kevin Harvick led for the first 13 laps. Has not really been a factor since. That first 26 laps had 4 different cautions here. Jeff Gordon led for a while. Jeff Burton led for 23 consecutive laps. Even Sterling Marlin in there for a while. Now, Michael Waltrip, your leader, followed by Dale Earnhardt Jr. We mentioned at the top of the broadcast, and I've talked about it throughout the broadcast, the DEI cars. Dale Earnhardt Incorporated have won 4 of the last 6 restrictor plate races coming in. Jeff Hammond, do they put, and we say they, we mean DEI, more of an emphasis on racing here or restrictor plate racing to have such success?
I think that's pretty obvious right there, Chris, that they do. But I think one thing we're kind of like forgetting is what's the best way probably to miss the big one? Be in front of it. So if you've got cars that can go out front and lead a pack, the likelihood of getting caught back up in a big mess back in the back is less. So these guys figure that if they work on their cars, keep them up front, the less chance of getting caught up in the big one, and they're doing a really good job of that tonight.
Why don't more teams put the same kind of emphasis on it?
I think it's just a fact that they kind of like losing sight of that, and I believe maybe Matt Yoakum has some more insight on it.
Well, Jeff, when the late Dale Earnhardt hired Richie Gilmore to head up the engine department at DEI, he told him the most special part to him was restrictor plate racing. He wanted to have a top-notch deal. They spend over $2 million a year just for the restrictor plate program. They also have 3 full-time employees. From the last race at Talladega last year up until the Daytona 500 this year, they had a plate engine on the dyno or on the chassis dyno every day. That's the kind of emphasis they put on their plate program, and it shows.
And Michael Waltrip, his last race more than a year and a half ago, came at his only career win in Winston Cup at the Daytona 500. Let's go back upstairs.
Michael Waltrip leading Dale Earnhardt Jr. teammates, a 6-car breakaway draft, plus Jeff Gordon in that draft, who's 1 lap down. A lot of brothers In NASCAR racing, there are the Burtons. Right now, Jeff is 9th, Ward is 10th. There are 3 Wallace brothers, led by Rusty in 8th. 3 Bodine brothers, led by Todd in 22nd. And 2 Labonte brothers, led by Bobby in 16th in this race.
I just believe some of the reasons that the DEI cars, Michael Dale Jr. and those guys run so good here. Dale Earnhardt had this intense desire to win here at Daytona. And Larry, you and I talked about this. I believe that he put more emphasis personally when he was driving on this race. And when he started his own team, he put the same kind of emphasis on winning at Daytona. This is the race he wanted to win so desperately, so badly, and he only got the win at one time.
When I look at those 2 cats at the front, Michael Waltrip has always run good at Daytona and Talladega. When I look at the man in second, I think the cliche, the apple don't fall far from the tree.
You got it, buddy.
Singular Wireless customers can participate in our virtual pit crew feature from your phones by sending the word Fox as a text message to number 151. We are past halfway at 87 laps. You ride with Robbie Gordon there. He is 38th, 2 laps down. And talk about where you start doesn't matter so much. What's happened to our front row? Kevin Harvick, who started on the pole, is back at 30th. And right behind him, the outside pole sitter, Jeffrey Bodine, in 31st.
There you see the Harvick on the Fox tracks there at 184 miles per hour, and right now he is about 9.5 seconds behind the leader.
Steve Burns with more.
Mike, our pole sitter Kevin Harvick sustained damage to the right front of that race car, about where the headlight decal would be. There's actually a dent or a hole. The team put a patch on, but it blew off, so they've made another one on the next pit stop. They've made it out of sheet metal and duct tape, and they'll apply that to that right front, about where the decal, or the headlamp decal would be.
Thanks, Steve. Harvick suffering along in 30th. 35 cars are on the lead lap. Now our outside pole sitter, Jeffrey Bodine, Dick Bergman.
Well, Jeffrey's problem is also in the right front corner, Mike. He had an early tangle with another car. They've worked on it on several occasions while they had pitted, but it's really not quite right. He's also complained he doesn't like the rear shock absorbers in the car. He's had a vibration earlier this evening. It's just been a whole host of problems for Jeffrey Bodine. Come out.
Dick, the guy who won the very first Pepsi 400 night race at Daytona, Jeff Gordon, has been doing his best Monty Hall imitation, making deals to work his way to the front. But he may have come to a close because the 15 and 8 cars from DEI are going to try to keep him a lap down. They're not going to try to let him get by and work any kind of deal with the 24 because they know how stout Jeff Gordon is here at Daytona.
And I think that's what there's 2 guys up there. They say, hey, that cat can beat us. And we got the best Chevrolets out here. And we want to keep him behind us if we can.
But, I mean, Jeff Gordon, Darrell, I think he's doing the best thing he can do. He's sitting there in 3rd. He don't need to start racing because he's not going to drive up there past those guys by himself without any help. The closer he can be to them, he may catch him off guard if a caution should come out. So he's doing what he has to do and about the only thing he can do.
You know, and following up a little bit on what we were talking about Dale Earnhardt and my brother Michael, I think he saw in Michael how great he has always run here at Daytona. And I think that he felt like if he put Michael in a car like he's out there in tonight, that Michael could win races, not only here at Daytona, but everywhere.
Jeff Green battling Kyle Petty in the 45 and Jimmy Spencer in the 41. This is a race for 25th, and behind them, the 3rd Earnhardt Incorporated car, Steve Park in the number 1. And our pole sitter Kevin Harvick and Stacy Compton. In winning the 2001 Daytona 500, Michael Waltrip led 27 laps, the most he had ever led at Daytona in one race. Tonight, he's been out in front for 31 laps. Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds. As Michael Waltrip continues to lead his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. and right behind them sits Jeff Gordon, the defending Winston Cup champion, trying to get a lap back. Now, just as we listen to the drivers and crews communicate, so do the other teams. Let's listen to Michael Waltrip.
Still clear, single file. Just for information, that 24 cars, the 4th car in line, he's pretty good. So if the caution comes back, I don't think we ought to give his lap back. It might bite him.
And now Jeff Gordon.
I know you know this, but those guys are not going to help you get your lap back this set, so keep digging on them. Keep digging.
That's Danny Culler, Michael's spotter, and what they needed to see that play, that rerun that we saw there a little earlier when Gordon split them and tried to go up through the middle to get a lap back. He's going to be pretty desperate to get that lap back if a caution does come out.
And I tell you, Danny Culler is a sharp guy. He spotted for years and years for Dale Earnhardt Sr. He's also the man that spotted all of those Winston Cup races and Busch events for Kevin Harvick last year.
Good spot. I think that was Robbie Loomis talking to Jeff Gordon.
Now on protocol, as Michael Waltrip goes way up high.
Traffic.
Around race traffic. Hunt Strickland there. You do not have to you don't have to back out of it and roll out of it and coast to the caution flag. So if a flag were to come out, as long as Michael's not in any jeopardy with the track blocked in front of him, he can haul the mail all the way around to the yellow.
Two things they tell you, one in the driver's meeting. First of all, let the leader keep the other guys a lap down. Now, some of these guys will pull over and let you get a lap back. I'm not a big fan of that. But it also depends on who it is. And that's why I'm not a big fan of it. If you're going to do it for one guy, you ought to do it for everybody. But in my opinion, you should never pull over and let anybody get a lap back.
Hey, guys, I'm pretty impressed, though. I know we had 3 cautions in the first 18 laps. We're almost 100 laps into this, and we only have 2 cars that's out. Kenny Wallace in the 98, Johnny Benson in the 10. Mike Wallace is back out there with repairs 59 laps down, and we showed Tony Stewart that's back out there 33 laps down.
98 complete, closing in on 100 laps. Let's go to pit road and Dick Berggren for tonight's Ford No Boundaries moment.
Compare Rusty Wallace's starting positions to his finishing positions this year, and he has passed 162 cars. Tonight, he started in the 37th spot. He has run in the top 10 all night long. In the last 10 races here at Daytona, he has scored more top 5s, more top 10s than anyone. He has never won a Winston Cup points race here. He is overdue. Maybe tonight, Mike.
Maybe. He certainly has come from the back. One of several drivers to start back from provisional land and work their way up into the top 10. Wallace presently is 7th.
And at this point in the season, I mean, we're here around halfway. He's looking at the big picture. Oh, you know, a guy like him, he's a big picture driver. He's won the championship before. Not too concerned he hadn't won a race yet, but that will get to him before long.
Last night in the Busch Series race, Joe Nemechek won by staying on the bottom of the racetrack, right where these cars are running through the corner, and nobody could challenge him to the outside. Darrell, how is this type of racing tonight different?
There is an art to leading a race. Michael could possibly be backing out the throttle and just at the right places. At the right places, so it bottlenecks everybody up, keeps them behind him.
Boy, speaking of right places, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 8 car was in the wrong place. Jeff Gordon in the 24 ran up there right on his rear bumper, backed away, run up again, and got him loose and kicked him out of line. Now, Jeff Gordon is right behind leader Michael Waltrip.
We're about to see how strong Junior's car is. If he can pull back up the outside behind Michael, I think that'd show us something.
Well, here's what I like. Dale Jarrett won down here a lot. 3 Daytona 500s. He's just cruising right now. He's sitting there in a car that I think he's very, very happy with. He's not going to put up a real big fight right now.
But here comes Junior on the outside, came up alongside, and now going to drift back just a little bit on Ryan Newman as they get up to turn 3.
77 slipping in there, too.
Things are heating up as we cross 100 of 160 laps in the Pepsi 400. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
Welcome back to the Pepsi 400 on Fox. Michael Waltrip, who won the 2001 Daytona 500 in his 463rd Winston Cup race, his first and only career victory. Let's bring you up to date. He currently leads now. Lap 2, Tony Stewart with Sadler and Kenseth contributing, spins 3 times out of the race and repairs. Johnny Benson into the wall, 3 cracked ribs. Remember, he had earlier injuries with ribs during the season. Then Steve Park, as you see Kevin Harvick, the pole sitter, being shuffled to the back. Steve Park getting into trouble with Mike Wallace. That's the Carrot Top car. Wallace has since come back in the race, and Kurt Busch having a Martha Stewart night, getting himself into a lot of trouble. First of 2 penalties for him. Jeff Gordon had the lead, but then had a punctured tire, fell a lap behind, trying to get his lap back. And as we take a look right now, we've had 5 different leaders, 4 lead changes, 5 cautions, and 2 cars currently officially out of the race. The Visa summary, as you get a look at the average speed, just over 183 miles per hour. Jeff Hammond with about 54 laps to go. We're coming up on pit stops, and this could be critical time here for strategy.
This right here will be the time when the crews are already being told, guys, we got to make one more stop. We come down pit road. First and foremost, drivers don't speed. Pit crews, 5 off, 5 on. Please don't beat us if we've got a chance to win tonight. I'm sure that Michael Waltrip's crew talked to his crew chief, Slugger Labby, earlier, and he said that's one thing about our whole team. It's stepped up here lately. We don't need to let Michael down if we come down pit road, so it's going to be real interesting when it comes time for pit stops.
One of the surprises of the weekend, Dave Blaney, currently running 6th, and let's get a check on his car with Steve Burns.
Chris, they started 30th, having a great run. Ryan Pemberton, pit stop's about to happen. What we do to that 77 car?
We're running pretty good right now. It starts out a little funky there at the beginning of the run. It kind of car dances around, but if he holds it on the bottom, it seems like he can hold his line, keep a lot of momentum off the corner. So towards the end of the long run, I don't think we're going to make any changes here. We're going to have about 50 laps on our tires at the end of the race and hope for the best.
Back upstairs.
Ryan Newman, number 12, battling Dale Earnhardt Jr. for 2nd. The car right behind leader Michael Waltrip is Jeff Gordon, trying to get back on the lead lap. There's Waltrip's teammate Earnhardt Jr., the number 8, not able to be of any help to Michael right now, but Michael's going to have to deal with Gordon sooner or later.
Look at the run. Dave Blaney in the 77 is getting on the high side. He's got help from Sterling Marlin in the 40 car as well. Almost wanted to slip in there in front of Dale Jarrett, but knew there isn't enough room right there.
I'm a little nervous around that 12 and 77 right now. The 12's a little bit reckless, been moving around a lot, one lane to the other. And then Blaney doing a great job, but has the least amount of experience other than Ryan Newman.
You know, Darrell, just to follow up on Jeff Hammond on the strategy, as he mentioned, we only have one more stop. There's no question we've got about 50 laps on our tires. I'm going to give you 4 tires. This may be the tires that we end on, but I'm also running up down pit road. I don't want to be on pit road by myself because I have to have a drafting partner, but I don't want to be on there with people all around me because then you end up possibly like Todd Bodine and Robbie Gordon. I don't want to be beating and banging. I want clean pit road, clean pit stall to come into.
Yeah, and a big problem is when everybody tries to come in at once there, getting off the racetrack is a big problem.
It can be pretty exciting.
So pit stops will be coming most likely when we come back. 109 laps complete in Daytona in the Pepsi 400 on Fox. 48 laps to go in the Pepsi 400. It's been 50 laps since the last restart. Jeffrey Bodine and Stacy Compton are the first 2 drivers to come to pit road, making green flag pit stops.
And Darrell, I want to follow up on something you talked about, and that's getting on the pit road as we start seeing a lot of cars come to pit road. In this race last year, some top race cars were taken out by beating and banging on each other and wrecking coming to pit road.
Yeah, well, what happens is the guy in front starts, if you got to get your hand up, you got to come off turn 2 over there, and you got to start waving to everybody behind you, tell them, I'm going to pit this time by. You can't come down here and surprise them off turn 4 and try to drive on pit lane.
Who do we see at Talladega? Was it Sterling Marlin? Who cut down at turn 3 instead of getting over at turn 2
and then you can you got to come down here and you're gonna lock up the brakes and smoke the tires, and the guy behind you sees the smoke, and then everybody panics. So getting on the pit lane here is going to be real critical. You've been riding around here too with the brakes are all cold. You got to remember to warm those brakes up a little before you come to pit road.
Now let's point out Jeff Gordon is no longer right behind race leader Michael Waltrip. He got shuffled back a bit.
Nobody has taken mercy with him at all. Not at all.
Terry Labonte is in. Jeremy Mayfield, Brett Bodine. Hut Strickland has made his pit stop, and so has Casey Atwood, who was the fastest qualified Dodge in the field.
Well, when you got Jeff Gordon in the situation he's in right now, a lot of times he's sitting there and you wonder what he's holding. Right now, you know he's not holding anything.
These are all scheduled pit stops, and we pretty much know everybody making stops now, they will be able to go to the end of this race should it go green. And it has a green flag look to it right now.
Yes, it does. The way the ball's spread out here, unless somebody just has a problem, a single car incident, I don't see any big accidents in our near future.
A lot of deal making up and down pit road at this stage in the race. Dave Blaney's team trying to link up with Sterling Marlin to try to pit together.
See what I'm talking about? See that car coming on pit road with all 4 tires locked up?
That's Matt Kenseth, and he's in that very first pit, so he had to get slowed down in a hurry.
Now, if you're coming off of turn 4 and you see that, you're not sure what's happening.
Another thing these guys are trying to make sure, Mike, if you're going to pit with somebody, and I think everybody will change 4 tires, you're trying to make sure somebody you're going to pit with don't change 2 and you change 4, you lose all that ground.
Well, but getting out front all by yourself is no advantage. You're setting up, we saw with Jeff Gordon, got a fast car, but you don't want to get out there all by yourself. They'll just chase you down and pass you. So you got to work with somebody.
Right. Bill Elliott, Bobby Labonte, Ricky Craven have been in. Matt Kenseth, Kyle Petty, Elliott Sadler for the Wood Brothers, the winningest team here. And now a big group coming in, including Mike Skinner, Joe Nemechek, Ricky Rudd, Daytona 500 winner Ward Burton, Bobby Hamilton, and Jimmy Johnson. Dick?
Mike Skinner skids to a stop, but he stops exactly perfectly, right where he should stop in his pit stall. He has finished as well as 3rd in this event. That back in 1998, that's going to be a 4-tire stop for Skinner's crew. They got the right side done, rolling around to the left side now. Some of the teams taking longer to put the fuel in. Skinner, gone.
Steve Park is in. Is Sterling Marlin coming, and Blaney coming with him, and
Several guys.
Dale Jarrett leads this group in with Marlin, Jeff Gordon, Rusty Wallace, and Blaney.
Now, Dale Jarrett, he has to go all the way to the end of pit road. He's in the very last pit before leaving.
Steve Burns.
Dave Blaney has never won a Winston Cup Series race. He had a clear shot in because Tony Stewart had already pitted. There will be no adjustments to this number 77 of Dave Blaney. Left side tires going on the 77 of Blaney. No other adjustments to that race car. Let's go to Matt.
The 88, trouble on the left rear. Dale Jarrett, trouble on the left rear. A slow stop. They made a major wedge adjustment. Jarrett was a little bit tight.
Let's see if Michael Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt Jr. come in this time. Jeff Burton locks up the brakes coming to pit road. It is Waltrip, Earnhardt. Ryan Newman is in, Mark Martin, and Jeff Burton.
Now, Michael Waltrip's pitting in pit 25 right here. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has to go all the way to the end of pit road to pit 3. Dick Burton.
Michael Waltrip, a nice job of bringing the car in. He stopped exactly where he needed to stop, right in front of his crew. That gives them the best possible opportunity for a fast pit stop. 1 round into the left rear. 4 tires. He's going to take 4 and gas. Michael, a nice stop, gone.
A 4-tire change for Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to win back-to-back Pepsi 400s. They made an air pressure adjustment in the right front. They went back to a setting they had earlier in the race. He was loose earlier, but he was recently tight.
Michael Waltrip gets out before Earnhardt Jr. and Jeff Burton had trouble leaving his pit. Needed a push from the crew to get the car restarted.
He came in so hot, locked the tires up, was sliding all the way to his pit box, loaded the carburetor up, killed the motor, and couldn't get it cranked back up.
But Darryl, I know we still have a few cars to pit here on the green, but I think there was good planning. We didn't see a bunch of cars at one time on pit road. We didn't see a lot of cars that was in 2 pit boxes beside one another.
Yeah, these guys were spread out pretty good up and down pit road for coming in the way they did. Now you're going to see the difference in pit stops pretty plainly here.
See Mike Skinner in the 4, Ricky Rudd in the 28, Ward Burton in the 22. That group was running in that second pack, 10th to about 12.
And here's Michael and Dale Jr. racing with Sterling.
The battle resumes just about where it left off.
And here comes the 12 and the 2 right behind them. Dale Jarrett's coming right here, and there goes the 6. There goes the 77. So they're just in a few seconds of each other.
We cycle through pit stops, and Michael Waltrip is the leader. Sterling Marlin, Dale Earnhardt Jr. right with him. It's about half a second back to Ryan Newman and Rusty Wallace.
I tell you, Rusty Wallace in that 2 car, he's had a few complaints about his pit crew this year, but he can't complain about them on this pit stop right here. They paid off for him.
No, sir. And, of course, Michael's team did a great job, too. So all those guys did a great job right there in that first 6 cars.
But one car that's missing from this top 5, we heard our guys talk about it. Dale Jarrett had that problem on that left rear. Plus, he's back to 6. I don't like where he's pitting for a green flag stop because you can't get up to speed till you're almost at turn 1.
And you got to go the whole length of the pit road with a lot of eyes on you, Larry.
It's good for caution stops, not good for green stops.
So Dale Jarrett falls to 2.4 seconds off the lead. Mark Martin 3.2 seconds back, and Dave Blaney 3.7 seconds back. So the big gainer in those green flag pit stops was Rusty Wallace, and there's the Billy Wilburn-led crew that pits for Rusty. 120 laps complete. 124 laps complete of the Pepsi 400. 160 make up the race. Michael Waltrip leading Sterling Marlin and Dale Earnhardt Jr. The drivers eligible for the Winston No Bull $5 million bonus, led by Mark Martin in 7th, Ricky Rudd in 10th. They're each paired with a fan who could also win $1 million if one of those 5 cars goes to victory lane.
And how these cars qualified, they were the top 5 finishers from Lowe's Motor Speedway back in May. Tony Stewart, 20 car, has more problems on the backstretch. We stayed green so far.
A spin off turn 2 onto that paved apron area, and a lot of smoke from Stewart's car. Caution will come out for the 6th time tonight.
Boy, Tony Stewart's poor old car looks like it's been a demolition derby.
Stewart, who had fought his way up to 5th in the points after being the first car out of the Daytona 500, was involved in the first caution of the night at lap 2, and now he brings out the 6th yellow flag.
I don't know if Gordon is he's not in a position to get a lap back, is he?
No, he lost a lot of ground right before that stop and on the pit stop itself.
Elliott Sadler trying to get a lap back, short by 2 car lengths. The Wood brothers, who lead all car owners with 12 victories in this race. The Petties have 11, Hendrick Motorsports 7, and Elliott just shy of beating leader Michael Waltrip to the line.
That would have been big for him because the only 1 lap down. That'd put him back on the lead lap.
See what happened to Tony Stewart.
Oh, he just thing gets loose on him, starts coming around, and spins it down on the apron. She just gets loose. Here she comes. You see all that paved area there, Mike? Larry, that didn't used to be there. It used to be grass. And if that when it was grass, you'd flip over every time you got down in there.
And what we have to remember, all the repairs they've done to that race car, I mean, that can definitely change the handling characteristics, how that car drives.
A long, tough night for Tony Stewart. Michael Waltrip leads as we're under the 6th caution flag of the evening. 320 of 400 miles complete here at Daytona International Speedway. Now Michael Waltrip came to the line, and Elliott Sadler was not able to get a lap back from Michael Waltrip. And let's listen in on some of the strategy involved here.
Caution's out, caution's out, caution's out. All right, 21 wants a little help. 21 wants a little help, it's up to you. Where's the 24? Where's the 24? Race back, tell him to race back, Danny, don't worry about it. Keep taking. Before it's now into 1, so he took the yellow. Before took the yellow. 21 wants a little help, it's up to you. Coming hard. You're inside.
Well, see, that kind of ties into what we were saying earlier. Where's the 24? Don't want to let him have his lap back. But the 21, yeah, we can let him have his lap back because he can't beat us.
But Michael couldn't slow down until he knew that Gordon had already taken the caution, and by then it was too late to be of any help to Elliott Sadler. Dick Bergman.
Slugger Labbe doing a great job calling the shots tonight for Michael Waltrip. Michael has repeatedly given Slugger credit for the fact that he is having the best year he has had in a very long time in Winston Cup racing. After the last pit stop, Slugger radioed to Michael, said, "Your tires look great. That's an indication the chassis is running very well. Just keep doing what you're doing." Slugger Labbe, the crew chief, has never won one of these Winston Cup races as a crew chief. He has been trying for 18 years.
Sterling Marlin pitted on lap 117. They added a pound of air to the right rear. Tony Glover's been saying, Sterling, keep an eye on where you're on the racetrack. Evaluate how you're going to make your moves. And right now we'll go to Jeff Hammond.
Right now, I'm sitting down beside our Ford Cutaway car, and as you can see in my little side mirror right here, it's kind of difficult, especially with the winning net up, and I haven't even got a helmet on. So you can imagine what it must be like during a race when you've got all these head restraints around you and a helmet. Very limited peripheral vision. So you've got to really be very dependent upon the side mirrors, your rear view mirrors, but at the end of this race, the key maybe to winning will be your spotter. What he tells you, what's going on behind you or in front of you, may be the key to winning tonight. We always hear about blocking, and one of the guys that will be helping that kind of like take place will be the spotters upstairs. Spotters are very important, especially with the few laps we've got to go.
Yeah, and your spotter's Chris Myers, so I'd tie that tie a little tighter, Jeff.
Yeah, Curtis Turner used to drive in a tuxedo, Jeff, so he kind of back to the past. Nice looking outfit.
Thank you.
Now, under this caution, the top 18 cars stayed out. We got 30 cars on the lead lap, but about 12 cars at the back. Terry Labonte, Brett Bodine, Bobby Labonte, Ward Burton, Matt Kenseth, Jeffrey Bodine, Kyle Petty, Todd Bodine, Jeff Green, Stacy Compton, pole sitter Kevin Harvick, and Casey Atwood decided pit. Nothing to lose. Make your car better, but the leaders all stayed out. They can make it to the end.
And I don't hear anybody complain too much about handling problems tonight. And I want to tell you the difference between this race and the February race, the Daytona 500. The week before we come down here for the 500, they have the 24 hours of Daytona. They drag cars around this joint all night long, leaking oil everywhere. The track's a lot slicker than it is here tonight.
For all the 140 people that each week that make NASCAR on Fox a reality, for all of their hard effort and their passion for the sport, let's crank it up.
I say one more time, strap that TV down.
Green flag.
Elliott Sadler was trying to get his lap back without success. Here comes Junior slicing through the middle of Sadler and Sterling Marlin to try to join his teammate Michael Waltrip at the front.
Well, this is nail-biting time again. Here we are near the end of the race. Everybody's kind of trying real hard. Guys are lap down. Guys trying to get themselves in a position to win this thing. Don't want to make any mistakes now.
Matt.
Well, Mike, under that caution, Tony Eury Jr., the car chief on the 8, asked his cousin Dale Jr. how his race car was. Jr. responded, the car is good, very good. I'm just thinking. Right now, he is second behind his teammate Michael Waltrip. Tony Eury Jr. responded, well, the house is even. They've helped us win a couple. Right now, we're helping them. Meanwhile, Dale Jarrett, remember, they made a wedge adjustment on his last stop. Jarrett reports in the 88 car is not as good as it was in the previous run.
The 12 right in the middle. Ryan Newman has all the look of a pinball wizard in the middle there.
We talked about Elliott Sadler to 21 trying to get his lap back. Ricky Craven in the tied 32 car, along with Jeff Gordon there in the 24 on the outside. They'd like to get up there because, once again, they're trying to get that lap back too as the laps close down.
Yeah, when you're the point leader and you're hung up there like that, Sterling just took a big, deep sigh of relief to get out of that mess. Like I say, everybody right now, it's just really got to be careful because we're setting up for what has the appearance of a disaster.
Well, and these guys, they slice and dice 2 and 3 wide. We've talked about it all night. That just lets the whole bunch get back together again.
Yeah, that caution flag really closed everybody back up, gave everybody another. It's like a whole new race.
The toughest parts are right here when they're coming straight on toward the spotters and coming out of the tri-oval right here when the spotters are looking at the tail light panels. They're of little help to the drivers in those 2 short chutes.
Well, remember when the race started and I told you the center there right along in here was like the eye of the storm? Well, the storm is brewing again. All it takes is for one of those front cars to come up off of turn 2 or turn 4, have to get up out of the throttle just a teeny bit because the car pushes and you get run into from behind. And here we go.
And as the lap counter ticks down, the pulse rate ticks up. 26 to go.
It's called the intensity. The intensity is picking up.
Jeff Gordon in 32nd place. One lap.
Whoa, there you go. There you go. This is it, guys.
Jarrett, Nemechek, Jeff Burton, Mike Skinner.
It's
one
over.
car hard up into the wall, joined by another.
And they just keep wrecking.
And the hits keep on coming.
And the big hit was Joe Nemechek. Brett Bodine on fire. Leaders will have to race back to the caution flag. Here comes, I think this is Sadler again. It is Elliott Sadler.
Yeah, but here comes Gordon right back here behind him.
Yeah, they're off the 24 car right there. He's trying to get his lap back as well. Elliott Sadler looks like he will accomplish it. Jeff Gordon will not. And I don't think Michael Waltrip, you mentioned it, Darrell, had a problem giving that 21 car lap back. Not going to give that 24 car.
Dale Jarrett is moving around inside the number 88. He's going to climb out. Todd Bodine is out. Rather, Brett Bodine, he owns that car in that race team. And of that number 11, there is little left. Matt Kenseth is involved. Heavy nose damage. But I'm worried about Joe Nemechek. That car hit the turn 1 wall with tremendous force. There's Mike Skinner.
That's Dale Jarrett. Jarrett's out and he's looking over the car, and there's
Martha Nemechek, Joe's mom.
Last night Martha was celebrating Joe's victory. Tonight she's in tears.
I don't know whoever got down the apron got turned.
Mike Skinner has come to rest.
Had a good run going there. See Bobby Labonte. All kinds of damage to that car.
And Brett Bodine's out of that car. And the good news about the Joe Nemechek car was they were attending to the car, not to the driver's compartment. So we can presume from that that Joe's okay. And here's Mike Skinner moving around. And the face of Martha Nemechek, remember, she lost a son in a race car crash at Homestead, Miami, lost her younger son, John. But the window net is down on Joe Nemechek's number 25. And that's always a sign that we believe he's gotten out of the car. We'll await confirmation. Joe Nemechek is out of the car. Brett Bodine is out of his car. The wings will be extra crispy tonight.
This starts by somebody getting crowded down on the apron here. Oh, Dale Jarrett. Dale Jarrett goes down in front of the 21 car, wasn't that? Oh, no, that was the 99 car. Oh, man, you're right, Mike. Nemechek took a hard lick. Then the 4 car.
Saw the lick that Brett Bodine and 11 took there in front of Joe Nemechek.
Steve Park.
Look at Blaney in the 77 all the way down on the apron, along with Jimmy Johnson in the 48 as well.
Nemechek gets hit once and then straight up and into the wall. The drivers call it the big one. And Darrell, I think we've accepted it's somewhat inevitable in this type of race. Let's see if Jeff Gordon gets through this.
Yeah, he got through. He tried to get his lap back, but Dale Jarrett's going to pay the price here. The 99 gets a run on him, and he tries to block him. The 99 got into him, and the rest.
Just look at the cars through his windshield. You just wonder, is it ever going to quit hitting?
Mike, I've seen this. I've seen these things so many times that I had that, as I just said, I had that feeling that we saw it was coming.
Dale Jarrett walking back from turn 1.
I'm sure Dale is quite dejected. He had a great car.
He had a top 5 car, certainly.
Had a top 5 car, and
Jarrett, a wave to the crowd. I believe he waved off a ride in the ambulance earlier.
They will insist that he goes to the care center. It's kind of mandatory.
Right.
I think right now he just wants to walk back to the pits by himself.
Yep.
I'm thinking that you know, he's probably a little upset with himself.
Here's Brett Bodine, who is okay. A little water there. And it's another truck Dale doesn't want to drive.
Well, it's what happens here is, you know, Burton had a run on the 88, and the 88 tried to block him, and they came together, and when they did, it just started this.
Jimmy Spencer cut left, and I think he missed it. Just barely.
Terry
Because
Labonte there.
Nemechek came straight up the track in front of Spencer's 41, and so did Skinner.
Look at Ricky Rudd in the 28 car. He's going to go to the bottom of the racetrack and just barely get by Jeff Burton.
See, these cars will go up and down. They start at the bottom, they go up, hit the wall, they'll come down, and sometimes they'll go right back up. That's why it's so hard to miss a wreck here. There's just no way that the cars will stay in one spot. Jimmy Johnson creeping through. This is coming to the start-finish line. You see the 99 drop down to the inside. Got a run on Jarrett. Starts to look to the inside. It's kind of hard to say what happened there. It looked like Dale tried to block him, moved down a little bit, and when he did, they come together. Not so sure.
There's that lick again by Joe Nemechek. That was a hard lick.
Well, so was the 11 car. I
Yeah.
mean, those two cars really, they cracked that wall hard.
It was like Skinner was a croquet ball and just sent Brett Bodine into the wall.
Saw Steve Park in the 1 car involved as well.
This next replay in real time.
Jeremy Mayfield in 19 all the way out in the grass.
Folks, I've been in these things, and I tell you, TV we just can't do it justice as to what that feels like.
The caution is out at Daytona International Speedway for this grinding crash with 21 laps to go.
Welcome back live on Fox, the Pepsi 400. At least 14 cars involved in the crash. Every driver is okay at this point. No serious injury, including Dale Jarrett in the 88 car, who walked back, and it was a long walk because an ambulance did not appear in the amount of time in which he got out of his car. More on the accident. In fact, let's get a check with Dale Jarrett, and our Matt Yoakum is standing by. Matt.
And Dale Jarrett has finally walked back to his pit here at the head of pit road. DJ, first off, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, just unfortunate, man. We had a really good car, and I was just, I don't know. Maybe it's my fault. I don't know. I was just trying to take my position and get by Mark there, and got hit in the back. And I guess that's just part of this kind of racing. And unfortunately, we didn't make it through the night.
Things happen so fast here, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, you know, you have a caution there at the end, and you know, it kind of bunches everybody up, and everybody gets racy, and you know, just a lot of things are going to happen there. So it's unfortunate. Again, we had a really good race car, and I thought we might have a shot to run the top 5. I don't know if we could do anything with Michael and Junior there, but just didn't quite make it.
Now you had the long stroll back, which got all the fans up on their feet. Why the walk back instead of the ambulance?
There wasn't an ambulance came and picked me up until I'd walked halfway here. So if they can't get there any faster than that, I can get here on my own.
Good news is Dale Jarrett's okay.
All right, he might have driven the big brown truck faster than the ambulance got there. So these are the drivers involved in the crash at this point, officially, those that we have checked. Remember, last night there were 15 cars involved in the Busch race, and at Talladega there were 24 cars involved in the big one there, as the drivers refer to the wreck. 24 cars involved in that wreck, with Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers in our studios here just above Victory Lane. So this happening with about 25 laps to go. And you indicated before when you were down at the cutaway car, certainly with vision and how things were bunched up. This is just part of it. Is there any way to avoid something like this?
Chris, I mean, we keep trying all the time to come up with a solution. You know, we put spotters up there to give everybody an idea. Hey, a man's making a move on you. Hold your line. You've got mirrors. We've got side mirrors. We've got rear view mirrors. We have two-way communication all the way around the racetrack. Yet we still have these big ones because these guys, at the end of a race, they're going to get to where they're pushing and shoving and trying to hold their line and to hold that position at all costs. And what happens is when they get together, multi-car accident.
We should mention Michael Waltrip and, of course, Dale Earnhardt Jr. still leading in the DEI cars. But real quick, and as Matt was told by Dale Jarrett, he said maybe it was my fault. It looked like the blocking is what caused that.
Well, it looked like he was trying to, keep the 99 car, Jeff Burton, making a move on him right there late to try to get position. And we saw all night long the guys out front seem to do much, much better.
All right, so the big one has hit. We're about to go green, continuing the finish. You're watching the Pepsi 400 on Fox, and we'll have more from Daytona in just a moment.
17 laps to go in the Pepsi 400. Jeff Burton bumping Dale Jarrett triggered this 15-car crash. We can't talk to Burton because he's one of the drivers that's still in the race as we go back to green.
Gordon's up there alongside of Michael. Definitely in the best place he's been in all night to get a lap back. But I tell you, I don't see anybody challenging my brother and Dale Jr. It looks to me like they'll shove each other home first and second. Just depends on which way they want to go.
Let's get an update on Earnhardt from Matt.
Well, Mike, on lap 139, there was some interesting conversation exchange between Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Tony Eury Jr. Dale said, I think I will help Michael win it. It's up to you, but Tony Jr. jumped in, but that's like the Cowboys winning because the Redskins let him. Dale said it's about me and teammates. It's about making DEI the one to beat. Right now, that's what I'm thinking. Tony said, I was thinking of the last race when they tried to beat you, but they couldn't make the run. Dale said, do you want me to win it? Tony said, yes, I want you to win the darn thing. These guys busted their butt all week on this race car. Tony said, if you drive like you can drive, the fans will be on their feet and you will win. Dale said, all right, I'm with you, buddy.
And that's a dilemma to put Dale Jr. in because Michael has sort of been the bridesmaid, and I'm sure that Michael thinks that it's his turn, as he would say.
But I tell you who's not getting any help, Jeff Gordon in that 24 car. He was second when they came by on the restart. He was kicked all the way back to about the 13th position. He has no help from anybody.
I believe the thing that's going to make Dale Jr. either win this race or run second is if he can get somebody to help him. I don't know that he can just pull out and pass Michael all by himself. I just think he's going to have to get somebody good up there behind him to make it happen.
Steve Burns is with Steve Park, whose car was taken out in that crash.
Mike, let's check in. Steve, are you okay? And tell us what happened.
Yeah, I'm fine. Just disappointed, and just we're hoping to avoid the big wreck, and sure enough, it happened again. So somebody looked like somebody up front turned Jared around or hit him, or we just got caught up in the melee. So, but we just can't forget it's 4th of July. So even though I'm disappointed with our wreck, I just want to thank all the veterans that are out there and all the guys and the young guys that are across the seas that have given us the opportunity to be free and race these race cars. So, like I said, I'm disappointed for the Pennzoil team, but our thoughts and prayers go out with all the people.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, thank you.
Tony Stewart has taken his car to the garage area.
Now what you're going to see here, Mike, if Dale Jr. is trying to win this race, he's going to let Michael get out there in front of him a little bit at times. He's going to let Michael beat him down into turn 1. He's going to let Michael get a little gap, pull out there a little bit, and you'll say, oh, Michael's pulling away. What that does, that gives Dale Jr. and if Rusty can help him, a run, to get a run on him down the back to get a nose under him going into 3.
Darrell, you know, we talk a lot about teammates. Well, we have 2 sets of teammates in the top 5, but I just don't know that it can happen here with teammates. We got Ryan Newman, Rusty Wallace. I mean, when you got that many cars, you've got to look after number 1 yourself.
I don't think it can help you necessarily, but what you don't want to do is hurt your teammate.
Absolutely.
I mean, you don't want to put yourself in a position where somebody else would beat both of you. So that's it's just a tough place to be.
Richard Childress used to tell Dale Earnhardt, Mike Skinner, you beat one another if you want to, but don't you help somebody beat my other guy.
That's exactly right, and I think that's what they're kind of faced with right here.
The hungriest driver in that front pack has to be Rusty Wallace. He's never won a Winston Cup points race at Daytona. He does not yet have a top 5 finish this season. 6th at Atlanta is his best. He and Billy Wilburn believe they have a car that can win. He sits 3rd behind the 2 Earnhardt Incorporated Chevrolet.
He's been gaining on Daytona, though, Mike. Last 10 Daytona starts, top 11 finishes in all but one of those races. They've been gaining on it slowly but surely.
And you missed a big one by running up front, but so far, he's missed every big wreck they've had. Talladega, Daytona, he's been ahead of it, or gotten through it somehow. And that's big points days, big points paying days.
Now, if you believe in Lucky Charms, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is on the cover of this week's Sports Illustrated. They devoted a whole issue to the jinx of being on the cover of that magazine. So if he wins, it will certainly upset that apple cart. It's probably about time.
Tell you the truth, I wish you hadn't mentioned it. I had forgotten about that because on the radio show the other morning, they were asking me about that very thing. I said, well, we'll see. And you know what? We'll see.
We come to 10 to go this time. Right now, that top 5 or 6, they look content, but you better look quick. They're not going to be content for long.
Yeah. What's going to happen if somebody tries to make a move here, then it's going to really change everything. Because look how many cars are lined up in a row here. 10 to go.
Caution. Caution is out. There's debris on the racetrack, putting us under caution with exactly 10 laps to go.
Now, where did Gordon go that time?
There he is on the bottom right there. There you see it, but I think they took the caution.
Yes, they took the caution coming to the line.
Yeah, and he knows it now.
Above the white line in turn 2 is where debris is reported. NASCAR, this speedway is so vast, they have observers stationed at various positions around the racetrack to make sure that there's nothing on the track that could provide a problem for one of the cars. And in the interest of safety, if there's especially metal debris on the racetrack, they won't hesitate to throw the caution.
You see Billy Wilburn, the crew chief for Rusty Wallace, talking to one of the NASCAR officials right there. I think one thing we can pretty much guarantee you, the top cars, top 10, 12, 14 cars, they will stay out. Pitting is over with.
We'll be back for the finish of the Pepsi 400 as the screws turn a little tighter here in Daytona Beach. 7 laps to go as they come by under caution, and the restart is waved off this time.
That's
and
funny.
now, excuse me, now they are going to give 1 to go.
Now we have 23 cars on the lead lap. We're under that 10 lap rule. It will be a what we call a down finger restart. Single file lead lap cars only to the front. No double file restart.
The hardest hit in that big crash was Joe Nemechek, and he's just walked out of the care center. Here's Steve.
Joe Nemechek just out of the care center. Joe, are you okay?
I'm okay. You know, the worst thing, I hurt my foot, got caught up in the pedals and bruised some bones in my feet, but I'm good. You know, I got to say thank God for the Hans. That thing took a heck of a hit. You know, I got turned just right, you know, inches from making it by, and got turned just right, and that thing come back up and hit that wall awful hard. One of the hardest hits I've taken.
Thanks, Joe. Glad you're okay.
Yes, sir.
And Mike and Larry, I think you'll agree, as time goes by, somewhere down the road, people are going to look back and say that Hans device, those safety devices that have been added to the driver, will be the greatest safety inventions that we ever came up with.
The Hans is the head and neck support, ties into the helmet that prevents the driver's head from lurching forward in a frontal crash like that one.
We've had a lot of hard crashes this year, and the only injury we've had in Winston Cup, severe injury in Winston Cup or Busch, really is Jeff Purvis up at Nazareth, and I don't think, you know, the head and neck restraint device had nothing to do with that.
Darrell, where do you want to be on this restart? We're going to have 6 laps to race.
I want to be in that car right there. And I want to be right where it is.
Michael Waltrip leading his DEI, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated teammate, Earnhardt Jr. Rusty Wallace in a Ford. Right behind Junior. Rusty has never won a Cup race at Daytona.
Dale Jr. has preached teamwork, teamwork, teamwork. DEI, what's good for DEI? And if you're going to preach that, you got to practice it.
Fourth is Sterling Marlin, the point leader. Fifth, the rookie, Wallace's teammate, Ryan Newman. Then Mark Martin, Jimmy Spencer's Dodge that squeaked through that crash. Jeremy Mayfield, Bill Elliott, and Todd Bodine, the top 10. Here we come.
If you're going to do it, you got to do it now on this restart. You got to do it right now.
See the group back there about 11th and 12th. Jeff Green and Stacy Compton. The only cars right now stepping out of line, the 30 and the 14.
Rusty had some help. Now he's in a good spot to get a big strong run off of turn 2, but he's sitting in it. He's kind of in the cradle right there. He's got nobody to help him.
But here comes Newman up with Wallace trying to help. Matt?
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is trying to get the 2 to help him, but apparently Rusty Wallace is running warm, so he won't stay tucked up underneath the 8 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. In fact, Junior spotter Ty Norris about broke his radio, jumping all over Wallace's spotter to try to help the 8.
Boy, Rusty just put a block on his own teammate, and now it's going to cost him. But the good news for Michael and Dale Jr. is they're just pulling away.
They stack up behind as Marlin has the inside. Mark Martin clawing for track position, and Mayfield on the outside in that red Dodge.
Well, the trouble is these 2 cars right here, I mean, they don't want to work together. They may be teammates, but somebody needs to tell them.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they run side by side, I don't think that gives no one to Dale Earnhardt Jr. to help go around Michael, but it's the greatest thing that can happen for those 2 guys up front.
I mean, look where Michael and Dale Jr. are, and we're coming down here with 5 to go.
And look at this wad behind them, Darrell.
You talk about teammates, you do have Sterling Marlin in the 40 car. You have his teammate back there, Jimmy Spencer, in the 41 car. And Jimmy Spencer, he dodged the big one. He's up there running in 5th right now.
Well, they get sorted out here at the front. I think everything will work out fine. But, boy, Ryan Newman and Rusty were really going at it.
3 wide all the way from 10th place on back.
4 laps to go.
Whoa, Jeff Bodine gets into Todd. They saved it.
Holy cow.
That's as close as you can come to wrecking without.
And here goes Junior by Michael.
Now, where's Rusty going to go? Looks like he's going to stay with Michael on the bottom. Sterling Marlin, the 40. He's going to stay with Rusty. They're going to kill Trevor Earnhardt in the back.
There's another car about to. Cars are all over the place again.
Ryan Newman, the 12 car. Dave Blaney in the 77 as well.
And they're racing back to the caution.
And this could be the race.
And here comes Sterling making a run.
They'll come to the flag with 3 to go. Michael Waltrip leading them home. Rusty Wallace looking for his first Daytona win. Here they come to the caution flag.
And this could be the race. I don't know there'd be enough time to throw a red flag. As we have 3 laps to go. Caution flies.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. comes across in 6th outside of Mark Martin.
Boy, that was some that was some
In the backstretch, a lot of debris.
That's a shame. Dave Blaney had a great car all night long.
Well, they almost wrecked them all going down into turn 1. Got over into turn 2 over there. A car spun and collected these other cars.
It was Ryan Newman, the rookie, who went sideways in the backstretch. And there the track crews are talking to Ryan, trying to help him out.
Like you said, Mike, there's no way we can stop this race. You'd have to stop it right now, and there's no way to do that.
Jeff Green.
Based on what I've seen, I would be ill-advised if they did.
There's Newman out of the car, taking off the support, the Hutchins device.
We are hearing that they will not throw a red flag. They'll be coming to 2 to go, so this race is going to end under caution, it looks like.
And NASCAR's policy on red flags is they will only red flag the race if they have enough laps to clean up the incident, get the race restarted, and in this case, they do not.
You almost have to have about 4 or more to go before you can do that.
I'm not going to say anything because we still got a couple laps to go here.
It's never over till it's over. But once Dale Earnhardt Jr. got up alongside Michael Waltrip and Rusty Wallace dropped underneath, the game was afoot. The first save was Todd and Jeff Bodine, the 2 brothers right there.
There they go. Now it looks like they're going to wreck here. They save it.
That's Newman outside them, I believe.
Come down into. I think
Daryl,
like
Ryan Newman had a tire smoking. I believe he had a tire go down
Here's
right
a good
there.
shot. I think that here you go. They get into it right there. That's going to cut down a tire, I guarantee you. Left rear tire. They go off in the corner. You're going to see a little smoke here now, I believe. See
yep, there it is. There it is. A left side tire going down.
That thing's going to blow the left rear tire, and it's going to spin off the corner over here. There it goes. Caught the side of the 21. There went the 29. Oh, the 19 just squeezed through.
There's a lot of cars that just squeezed by right there. Of course, Dave Blaney, the 77's one that
and you
did
can
not.
see that the left rear tire is down and off the wheel.
That's what made him come around right there. He gets into the side of Elliott Sadler, the 21.
Looks like you see the tire lets go completely right here, and it comes around then.
Let's ride with Jeremy Mayfield. That's Newman right in front of him.
He's got to see the smoke, and that's just he doesn't. Now he sees him spin. Can't see anything right there. Squeezes by. If you can see the other side of his car, that was close.
Because you just don't know which way he's going to go up there as he come up on the backstretch.
And all season long, and right here especially, I've got to give an attaboy to our cameramen, our tape operators, our replay producers for being able to share all of these images with you instead of all of us wondering what happened. Great job, fellas and girls, and thanks for all of it.
That's Buffy, Michael's wife, and she's just like I am. She's not going to say anything yet.
They will be coming to the white flag this time, being waved along with the caution flag. And Daryl, it wasn't but about 2.5 months ago, everybody was saying Michael Waltrip's out of this race car. You just look at the runs he's had the last month and a half, and he's about 2.5 miles away from getting his second career win, first win of 2002.
I have never seen him, ever since he's been racing, I've never seen him drive better.
You know, his first win, Daryl, he didn't get a fair chance to celebrate here at Daytona. His victory marred by the tragedy of losing Dale Earnhardt, his car owner and benefactor. Michael didn't get a proper celebration then. He will tonight.
Oh, yeah. Say what you want to about tonight, but he had the dominant car. He did a great job right there at the end. Looked like I didn't know what was going to happen, and he held on, and he's coming home a winner. And yeah.
Well, he did just what Joe Nemechek did last night to win the Busch race. He ran the bottom of the racetrack the whole race long, had the lead, and if you were going to beat him, you'd have to beat him the long way around on the outside. You're riding with him, aren't you?
Well, I can't help but think about when we were here last,
which was February a year ago.
He won. He went to victory circle.
That's right.
But it's a day that none of us will ever forget. Here we are back here for the first time since then.
First time Fox has been back.
First time Fox has been back since then, and he wins again. I'm proud. I'm so proud of him. That's it. What a great job tonight.
He grew up wanting to be a race car driver, wanting to follow in your footsteps, but that was no easy path for Michael.
No, we're a generation apart. I'm more like a father to him, and you know what, sons and fathers, you know, he doesn't listen to me very well. He and I have a great relationship, but it's different than if we were closer together in age.
But I tell you, Dale Earnhardt owned this racetrack. Finally got that Daytona 500 win. Looks like DEI is starting to own this place. 5 of the last 7 restrictor plate races here.
Here he comes to the flag. Michael Waltrip wins the Pepsi 400.
All right, way to go, buddy.
Rusty Wallace. Second, Sterling Marlin, Jimmy Spencer, Mark Martin. The top 5.
Boys, you got to be back here in February.
Yes, we do.
I love seeing him win a race. I mean, it's a great thrill. Slugger Labby is crew chief.
And we heard Matt Yoakum talk about it, getting his first career win as a crew chief. Winston Cup win.
But, gosh, I don't know. A guy like me, I don't think take too much more of this or not.
Steve Burns.
All right, thanks, Mike. Another win for DEI, and your first win as a crew chief, Slugger. What does it mean to you?
What an awesome feeling. I just told Michael I've been chasing this dream for 18 years, and man, it took my dad to show me what a half-inch wrench was. I didn't know nothing. And my dad, I tell you, all of him and Dick McCabe and Kelly Moore back home for giving me the chance to do this. And Teresa and Ty and Steve Mill and Richie Gilmore and Michael Waltrip. You know, I mean, a lot of people didn't believe in Michael, and I did. I left a good team to come work for DEI and Michael. And, man, it's just an awesome feeling.
Slugger, how have you guys turned this team around?
It's hard work, man. We cut everybody off over the winter. We totally restructured the whole 15 team. All them guys back in the shop. I want more of that. I want more.
That felt good, didn't it?
Yeah. Just everybody, man, at DEI for sticking behind me, and Stiffy and Pops down there and Paul Andrews. I mean, we work good together, and none of this is possible without everyone at DEI, and it's an awesome feeling.
Go celebrate in victory lane.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
A lot of good stock car racers come from the state of Maine, and Slugger Labby is one of them.
Well, what Michael told me over and over again, he said, I love Slugger. He believes in me. And Larry, you know, Jeff knows, when the crew chief and the driver, when they believe in each other,
there's no stopping you.
Exactly.
Time to mess up all that pretty paint in the infield, I think. Let's see.
I don't know now. It's pretty muddy out there, bud. Let's be careful. Get over here and tear up the good stuff. Don't just get on in there and get some of that good stuff.
And 1 year ago, he was out in that grass celebrating the win for his teammate, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now he's out there celebrating his own race team.
I guess he's going to watch out now.
Don't get stuck in there, Mike.
No,
We've got a lot of rain here.
Yeah. Get that thing out there. Go on Victor Circle.
Well, that's a long way to victory lane.
Hello. Oh, man.
It's the second career points victory for Michael Waltrip, who also won the non-points Winston All-Star race. And we will talk to him in victory lane.
We're the only brothers that's won the Daytona 500 and the Winston. But now he's done something I never did. I never won this race.
Welcome to our Pepsi 400 at Daytona post-race show on Fox, where Michael Waltrip has won the Pepsi 400 for his second career Winston Cup victory. We're going to go down to tonight's Circuit City Winner's Circle. And Dick Berggren.
Well, when Michael Waltrip won the Daytona 500, there really was only a celebration for a few moments as a result of the loss of his friend, his car owner, Dale Earnhardt. Tonight, Michael, are you ready to celebrate now? Are you ready to celebrate?
I'm real proud for all my boys. I'm real proud for Slugger. He just worked on this car till he made sure it was faster than everybody else's. And, man, we won the race. We fended off a challenge from our teammates, so nobody can say we just held formation. Napa Auto Parts, Ritz Crackers, Klausner Furniture. I told you, this car fits like an old pair of Nike tennis shoes. I just love to squeeze down in it and drive. It makes me feel like I'm a champion when I'm in it. And what a great night. It handled perfectly. We're going to party. We're going to celebrate. We're going to miss you guys. Leaving, you are so much fun. Daryl, I love you, buddy. And the job y'all do is just unmatched. Thank you for bringing our sport to the fans the way you do. And, you know, when we're done celebrating and having fun, I gotta go to bed tonight knowing I made a mistake and wrecked a guy. And that's not cool. But this is real hard to do without making a mistake. That's why you see all these crashes.
Toward the end, with all the caution flags, Michael, were you concerned that somebody was going to blow by you and take this away?
Very much. You know, the restarts are the best place to pass, especially when you got a car as fast. The key to my car, it was really fast, as you could tell, but it would handle. And I could just hook the bottom and go. And with that combination and this rules package, there just wasn't any dealing with me. You know, we were on the gas. Mama, back home, I love you. Teresa, coming to see you tomorrow. Proud to put your car in victory lane for you. And I'm just real thankful, Dick. I just believe in this team, and I believed in them all year long. And we, some reason, 3 or 4 months ago, we made it all click, and it's been a lot of fun.
Congratulations. Attaboy, Michael. Let's go to Steve Burns.
Thanks, Dick. With Rusty Wallace. Rusty from 37th to 2nd. Tell us how you did it.
I just had a great handling car, and on the restart, I got a heck of a good jump. You know, you can't pass anybody until you get past that start-finish line. You got to pass to the right. And I got to tell you, I was embarrassed to qualify 37th. I'm a better driver than that, and it's a better car. And they dropped that flag, man. This old hot rod just took off, and I ran right down the center because I knew that was what we had to do. And so anyway, we passed like 25 cars in 4 laps. But then after that, I want to see if it had any staying power, and it really ran good. And this Miller Lite Ford Taurus was awesome all night long. It's a special Harley-Davidson paint scheme. I was real proud to have a good handling car like this.
How about a shot at the win? Was there anything there, Rusty?
Not really. I mean, I'm a real optimistic guy. Don't get me wrong, and I try to win everything. But if Junior wouldn't have tried to pass Waltrip, I was going to finish third. And I couldn't have got past Michael. Those DEI cars were super strong, but I tell you what, my car was super strong too. And Sterling hung right in there with me, and we stayed in line and just checked out. We ran some awful fast laps, but man, what a really good night for us. Good night for the points. Real happy.
Good job, Rusty. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
We live yet?
Well, we are live.
Are we live? Sterling, what a good deal tonight. What happened there at the last 6 or 8 laps?
My buddy Jimmy Spencer pushed us by a bunch of cars. Had a good car all night. Coors Light guys done a good job. Thank everybody at the shop. Chip Ganassi and Coors Light. Whole deal. Car drove good, and thank you.
Now, ask him about the nose. His nose of his car was dented in. It's gone now.
Oh.
What happened to the nose of that car?
Everybody gets knocked in at the end of these plate races. You know, we had the track broke up. Everybody broke up pretty good, and good handling cars was pulling away, and I guess Tony Stewart spun, and I just wanted to throw the caution, and threw the caution, bunched everybody back up, and you know, when you get bunched up on these restarts with 30 to go, they're going to have a wreck, and hope they don't, but they did.
Now, a great Ganassi night, Mr. Excitement fourth.
Yeah, it really was. You know, right there at the end, I felt good getting up there with Sterling, and you know, we stuck together, and we worked our way to the top 5. Well, he wasn't a top 5. I got in there. You know, and then Junior made a move there at the end, and I don't blame him. And I couldn't leave my partner Sterling, so I stayed with Sterling, and it prevailed, and we ended up with a top 5 finish for Team Target.
2 top 5 finishes for the Ganassi Racing bunch, and I've got the mic back, Mike.
Good going, Matt. I thought Jimmy was angling for your job there. Chevy congratulates Michael Waltrip with the number 15 Monte Carlo on its big win tonight. Michael will tell you the only thing that comes close to Monte Carlo's reputation on the track is its rep on the street. More champions depend on Chevy. Will be there. Down to Matt Yoakum with Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. climbs from his race car, and Junior, you tried to lay some whoop up on him and go for the win with 4 to go.
Yeah, I think I should have followed him, but all the guys in the pits, you know, they put a lot of effort behind this car, and you know, they want to celebrate a victory because they know the car's capable of doing it. But I was kind of by the same position Michael was in Talladega, so I should have just stayed behind him. We could have finished second. But you know, I don't know, wrong decision, right decision, I don't know. I guess I'll never know. So it was a good run for Budweiser, all-star baseball, all-star car, done real good tonight, and run second for a long time. Didn't really lead any laps, but we had a real strong race car. I told Michael in the driver's meeting that I'd stay dedicated to him, and that's what I wanted to do. But
there was a lot of talk between yourself and Tony Jr. about what to do in that situation.
Yeah, he told me if I didn't try to win the race, I wasn't a race car driver, so I had to try to win the race.
But the good news is he scored his first top 10 finish since his win at Talladega.
Here's the order of finish for the Pepsi 400. Halfway through the season, it's flown by.
But it's been exciting. I tell you, you know, we saw the young guns in the beginning, the Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Newman's, Kurt Busch, but now all of a sudden, the veterans are starting to prevail here as we zoom in on the second half this season.
Yeah, and I feel sorry for Dale Jr. I think he got talked into doing something that he didn't really want to do. When he practiced, you got to practice what you preach, and he knows that. Proud for my brother.
21 cars finished on the lead lap tonight, and more than a dozen ended up in the garage as a result of the big 2 tonight at Daytona. The Winston Cup points at the traditional halfway mark of the season show Sterling Marlin hanging on to a 77-point lead over Mark Martin. He gained 15 points of advantage tonight. Jimmy Johnson, the rookie, Rusty Wallace, Jeff Gordon, the top 5.
And, you know, we talked about 3 guys that wanted to get back to Daytona, get their season turned around. They're all in the top 10. You've got Dale Earnhardt Jr., you've got Ward Burton, you've got all those guys. They prevailed tonight back at Daytona.
Let's do a midpoint of the season checkup on the NASCAR Busch Series after Joe Nemechek's win last night. Craig Biffle leads Jason Keller by 39 points. Jack Sprague, who crashed last night, Scott Riggs, the rookie, and Scott Wimmer. And the Craftsman Truck Series points brought to you by Sears. Ted Musgrave with a 61-point lead over Mike Bliss, David Starr, Rick Crawford, and Jason Leffler. What a fun half a season it's been. Down to the Hollywood Hotel to close it out.
All right, thanks, guys. Another terrific job. It has been a pleasure having you call the races through the first half. And usually a bell, that means there's a shift change. And we welcome in Benny Parsons, very familiar, part of the racing family, and the crew at NBC as you will take over the second half. We wish you and your colleagues a lot of luck, and nice to have you with us here.
Well, it's been a very exciting first half. I hope we can just continue this excitement in the second half.
I wanted to get your thoughts on this race. I mean, you were sitting up here with Jeff Hammond watching, and you both said, hey, the clock's ticking, the nail's been pulled on the hand grenade, and all of a sudden, 15 cars in a pileup, the big one.
It just seems like it happens every time when we come to a restrictor plate race. Unfortunately for these guys, they've got to go back to Talladega October the 6th and do this one more time.
Yeah, Jeff, let's talk about it. We saw Dale Earnhardt Jr., his gamble, if you want to call it that, allowed Rusty to finish second, but that's what a race car driver has to do.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do. And early on, you know, when we talked to him before the start of the race, he said, well, if I'm leading, Michael's going to follow me. If Michael's leading, I'm going to keep pushing him. But that there is a competitive nature, and I think it's really a good thing because everybody keeps saying, hey, teammates shouldn't work together. I think they worked together well all night long. He kept Michael up front, but when it came time to go up front, there you see Michael Waltrip out there hoisting the trophy in victory lane, and how excited he must be. He did what he should have done. He made the move. Rusty Wallace, being a Cajun veteran, he slid in there, brought Sterling Marlin with him, pushed him back to 6th. But, hey, it was a great finish right there at the end.
And Darrell made the point, nice to see as the fireworks go off, continuing this 4th of July, this holiday weekend, that Michael Waltrip having a chance really to enjoy and savor this victory when he won the Daytona 500. Obviously, that's the night that we lost Dale Earnhardt, and I think we all, probably he's watching from somewhere up above and smiling and enjoying this moment along with Michael and DEI. Let's talk about the points race. Benny, you NBC guys have a lot to look forward to in the second half. Things are tight. All the young guns, but the veteran Sterling Marlin hanging on to that points lead with Mark Martin second.
As we take the road to Miami in the final race of the year, the points battle is terrific this year. I can't wait to see who is going to end up winning this thing because it is so doggone tight.
You like anybody right now, Benny?
No.
You don't like anybody.
I want to put just put that over your jacket there with that says, just for the end of
just humor him a little bit.
Just for the end of the night.
I have to do it all the time. I have to humor him, but hey.
All right, and I've enjoyed Jeff working with you here.
I have had a great time.
All right, and Benny, a pleasure. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you very much.
All the NBC guys.
Yeah, great job, guys.
Another great season at NASCAR. As we wrap things up from Daytona, UPS, the official delivery company of NASCAR, delivering a chance to win 4 tickets to the 2003 Daytona 500 on Fox. Who knows? Michael Waltrip may win it again. All you have to do is log on to foxsports.com, keyword UPS Racing. First half of the NASCAR season highlighted by Generation X drivers and the savvy veterans. Rookie Jimmy Johnson won twice. 23-year-old Kurt Busch drove to victory lane. But the familiar faces behind the wheel, they were the ones at the top of the points heap. Sterling Marlin, Mark Martin, Ed Wins, Dale Jarrett, and Ricky Rudd, all in the 40-something crowd. And as we wind up our coverage, we thank the drivers and the crews of NASCAR for a terrific ride. Our production crew, over 150 people, they work long hours each week to bring you the best from the racetrack. We especially thank the racing fans for their loyal support and for putting up with our sense of humor. Good luck to NBC. NASCAR on Fox returns February here in Daytona. I'm Chris Myers. Thanks for watching.